Hey, Podnutzians. Welcome to Android App Addicts episode 600. This podcast episode is brought to you by Mark Turnover. Thank you very much, Mark, for the support um, all throughout the years. And again, if you want to have this podcast ad free, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/Android App Addicts, and you too can receive this podcast completely ad free. That's a promise. Speaking of promises, we are joined tonight by Ivor and Josh. How is everything going, Ivor?
Fantastic, Dor. I am now finally free of the Windows death grip. So I've got a computer now that runs Linux Mint. I know you don't like Mint, but I'm really impressed with it. I've been running it for a couple of weeks now, and it's great. So it's our 600th episode. So another day of anniversaries. It's my 25th, my 54th birthday today, not my 25th. My 54th birthday today, and my 25th wedding anniversary next week as well. So
I don't know if you're holding up better for 54 or 25, but you're definitely doing something right.
25 years of marriage,
yeah,
takes its toll.
Yeah, and I will say you jump off Windows right when Windows is about to implement the sudo command in Windows.
Oh yes. Well, fair enough. I suppose I'm not going back to it.
Apparently, run as wasn't flexible enough, or too many people are just comfortable using super user do sudo, and they just don't want to use run as. I don't know. I mean,
or maybe they just realized that Windows sucks and they decided to implement some Linux functionality.
Linux functionality.
Is that what they're doing? Or are they just completely tearing out their garbage operating system and replacing it with Linux?
My belief is they're on the beginning stages of just completely giving up and replacing the entire kernel with the Linux kernel, and just have Windows be the desktop.
And it'll be created by GNOME. Right, and so it'll just be like they'll have somebody else, some desktop that is already established, and so just make it look like Windows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, easy, right? Like they should have done this years ago, and then they can fire everyone in Redmond,
and they can save money all around.
Well, it was particularly frustrating for me because I was trying to install Linux. I've tried several times to install Linux and always failed because the boot disk I was using was an SD card in an adapter. And so I found a dedicated 8 gigabyte card, and I downloaded Linux onto that and used that as a boot disk, and it worked straight away. So I was kind of kicking myself because I could have been using it years and years ago.
So are you still booting from no?
No, replaced the operating system.
Okay, you nuke and paved Windows the way that it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, the other thing that if you run two operating systems together, because you can do dual boot.
Yeah.
One to Windows, one into Windows, one into Linux. But every time Windows has an update, which is almost every day, the whole thing reverts back to Windows.
Yep.
Nice.
You can't use Linux. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I never even tried that. Like it just sounds like a bad idea. I don't want anything touching Windows, right? Like I can see this wall right in the middle, but Windows is just creeping through, and there's like little tentacles going through roots of the tree going through the brick wall.
Yeah.
The only time I was successful was when I had it installed on 2 separate hard drives, and then at boot time I would hit like F8 and pick a drive to boot to. That was the only time I ever got it to work right. But speaking of work right, how is everything going your way, Josh?
Oh, Dor, it's been a rough couple of weeks. Basically, before I had built an app for a car dealership group, and so I've just sort of been maintaining that a little bit, doing some updates and bug fixes because I wrote the code, so that's a full-time job in itself.
Yep.
And then I noticed when I tried to log into the database company, because the way that I made it was try to be as user-friendly for the customer as possible, so that I could kind of just walk away maybe.
Right.
And so it's running on a serverless platform,
Right.
and the database is a hosted
So
database.
it's a database as a service.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so but it was great. I mean, it took a little bit to get it all plugged in together, but there's no servers anywhere, and you just don't have to do anything really
Right.
and it just runs. And so I logged into the database website, and there was a big notice that said that they were deprecating the GraphQL API that they had been. It was one of the reasons that I chose it, because at that point I knew GraphQL and I knew I could set it up, and so I did. And then it's deprecated, and it stops functioning at all on the 29th of February.
Oh,
and so
TikTok.
the customer started getting emails back in August, and I didn't know about it until last week or the week before. And so it's and I mean it's all like they wrote their own querying language as well, and so it's trying to learn their querying language along with tearing out the GraphQL, because I've gone through. It's been days and days of trying to get basically taking out the GraphQL from it completely, and then getting to a point like, you know what, I think it might be easier to just try to take the code that I have and manipulate that. And then I started doing that, and I realized that GraphQL sucks, and that it's you have to spin up a server, which is fine, except using a serverless platform for hosting. Now you have to do edge functions and I could never even get. It takes so long to get to the point where the server fires up, and then it just starts spitting up more errors. And so I said, I'm done with that. And now I'm using another. It's called SWR, which I can't remember what it stands for. It's written by the Vercel people. That it's a Next.js app,
right.
Which I probably wouldn't do again either. And so they are creating this, and it's a querying mutation tool / caching.
Right.
And so I started that yesterday, and have been trying to learn that as well. And then just everything is an error because I have to touch every single file in the entire app when it comes down to it. So I'm at file 2, I think. But I think if I can just get, I mean, I'm working through the login functionality, and then the initial data,
right?
Because I have to restructure. It's ridiculous, but I have to restructure the user when it comes in from the database and add these dealerships to the user using God knows what SWR is. And so, yeah, I'll be up at 4:00 again tomorrow, and just trying to get it done before the end of the month. And then I'm going to have a long chat with with the company and let them know exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. Each page should go a little bit quicker once you reach like page 5 or 7.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you are in a world of never ending hurt.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the way that it has been. And I kind of made that breakthrough today, or a breakthrough today of, okay, I can kind of see how this works now. And I can query, and I can create a user, log in, create a user. But then it's React as well. And they're trying to you can't make a state call from outside of a function, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. I don't care about endless loops. Let's do this. As my computer shuts down again, it just locks up. So yeah, that was another thing. My computer has just completely locked up twice in the last couple of days of just, I've got HTOP running and I look and then something just spikes, whether it's Firefox trying to load the page, or somehow I loaded the Next.js server 4 times and it's just plowing away, just eating RAM, I guess, for breakfast.
Right. Yeah, I'll say when computers age, it's either RAM that starts to go bad, which is easy enough to check with the RAM check on almost every Linux bootable ISO. Are you on a spinning disk or SSD?
No, it's an M2.
Well, then it shouldn't be that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's an i7 8th generation, maybe something like that. So it's, I guess it is 6 or 7 years old now.
Well, I mean, those processors are revving so quick.
It's got 32 gigs of RAM. Like it should be able to. Maybe it's too much RAM. Maybe it gets confused, just running around bouncing off walls.
No such thing as too much RAM.
If it's garbage RAM, it is, I guess.
It is. And SWR stands for stall while
rendering, reading,
revelating. I can't even pronounce that. Whatever.
Yeah. SWR.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you can look at that, but it's quite interesting. Like I'm using the local storage on the browser for the cache, but then you get into a rabbit hole of that. How do you clear it? I can't even clear it. Like it creates a user object. I clear the local storage somewhere in the beginning of my app. It's making a call and creating a cache because I delete it, and then I refresh and it's back. So I don't.
Yeah. I want to say it's called, oh man, I always want to call it a local warehouse because it's not cache, because you can clear the cache and it's still there. It's the other storage medium that Google, I think Chrome invented like 8 years ago.
Not session storage.
No, it's the local data store. And that's much more difficult to clear out because I had the same issue with at least some things I've installed on my network where I literally felt like I nuked and paved the entire browser. I go to the web page and stuff existed from 2 installs ago. What? No, it was the local data store I had to nuke, which was completely different.
Well, it shouldn't even be. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why it would.
Well, I have at least a little bit of good news.
Yeah, please.
My wife.
Sorry, Ivor.
Right. I think that my wife got me a really cool shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I'm a little door key.
It was perfect. I saw it and it was, I'm a little door key, door space key, and it's a little key. And I thought I have to have that shirt. If not, I will commit random acts of malice towards people.
Actually, I showed that shirt when you sent that around, I think on the Voxer chat. You sent it around, or was it on Discord? You sent it around and I showed it to my wife and she loved it. She thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. So
your wife has good taste.
Well, I told her if you don't get me this for Christmas, you don't know me. And then I asked, really, what you need to do is buy a second one. And the second one, we just keep under glass until this one is worn and falling apart. And then I can wear that one.
Okay.
That's at least my goal. Except for that, holiday season, for the most part, uneventful. It was still the deadliest time of the year, at least in my adult life, where I know at least 2 people that had really bad holidays, at least is the way I'll put it.
Have we not gotten together since then?
No, it was November, I think.
The last podcast I did for Android App Addicts was, I want to say, December 22nd. So it was right before.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wow.
The jubilant holiday. And since then, one of the things I did do was me and the wife went to Disney with no kids. And one of the things she wanted to do was drink her way around the world in Epcot, which meant we stopped in, I mean, I can't even remember all the countries: Mexico, Norway, Germany, Africa, Paris. US, Italy, Japan, Canada, UK, and every place I got something to drink. And I tell you, by the third
Except New
country,
Zealand.
but there was yeah. By like the third country, my wife was like, "I think we gotta slow down." I said, "If we slow down, we're gonna be here till 2 a.m.
And just for the kids listening, Italy is not actually a country. Or not Italy, sorry. Paris is not actually a
I
country.
don't know. It was French, yeah. But
Oh, okay.
well,
So what?
the
I've never
reason-
been to Epcot. So what do you, is this? Are there bars or what is the?
well, no. Back in like early 80s, you could not buy any alcohol anywhere in any Disney thing. And then they started to introduce beer. Well, when they introduced Epcot, there's like countries that represent the world, and they try to remain actually honest to that area. So when you go to China, you only have like what they would consider as close as possible to authentic Chinese cuisine and food and drink.
I'm so confused. These
I
are
know.
restaurants. I don't even know what Epcot
Yeah.
looks like. I've never been there. Like it's just a huge. I thought it was a big ball.
That's the beginning of it. When you go in, there's a huge lake in the middle where the fireworks are, and around the lake is all the nations. And like for instance, when you go to Germany, you are only offered authentic German beers, and some of them even on tap. But then you go to France and you get the worst beer that's ever been imagined. It was so bad. Oh man. And I thought to myself, this is why I don't want to go to France.
Well, you got to get wine if you're going to France.
That's
think.
what like 3 people told me, and I'm like, okay, fine. Next time.
Yeah, you don't buy beer in France. And that's like buying beer in Finland. You buy vodka. You got to know where you're going, Dor.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
but
Belgian beer is pretty nice.
Yeah,
Belgium. Thank God there's no Belgium. That's what I'm gonna say. But we like finally made it through the entire ring of countries, and then I literally looked at the wife and she says, "Oh my God, we gotta go. I gotta go to bed." And she was like completely out of breath. And I'm like, we've been walking all day. Neither of us should be out of breath. We were completely like out of breath, like we were just in like a fist fight. And like, we can't take it. And I swear, if I could have ordered like the little rascal scooters right then and there, I would have got 2 of them right there.
This is so confusing for me. Is there a hotel there, or like what's the housing situation?
Well, our hotel was on site. What we had to do was we had to pass up France, make a left,
Pass out.
then we got on the skyline or the gondolas, which basically just sit there and it just goes for like 10 minutes to our hotel.
Wow.
We get to our hotel, and then we got to walk for maybe 10 minutes. Thank baby Jesus. Our hotel had an elevator because we were on the 4th floor. We wouldn't have made it up. I mean, we would have just been laying on one of like the landings on the stairs if we didn't have. But we had the elevator, up to the elevator. And I remember when we got up the elevator and we made the turn, and then we made the turn, and I saw there is the goal. Okay, just we can do it. We can do it. Come on, man. We can do it. We can do it. It's all the way at the end, but we can do it. I swear we can do it. And then like halfway there, I like look up and I'm like, oh my God, we have this much more to go.
you haven't even moved. You guys are just leaning on each other still at the end of the hall. Did we make it? I think we're parked, man.
And then I know, and I know we got in the door, and I'm pretty sure neither of us took a shower, took off like almost any clothes. We just took off our shoes maybe and just passed out in bed. And I know within 3 seconds of her hitting the bed, she was snoring. And I thought, I don't care.
I always thought Epcot, there's always a correlation between Epcot and Disneyland in my head. So as far as the comparison to those two, I mean, are there kids? This sounds like a hot mess here at Epcot. Is that the kind of
the way I'll put it is when you walk into the entrance of Epcot, there's some very kid-friendly stuff. There's like 1 or 2 rides that are really cool on this side, 1 or 2 rides on this side that are really cool. But then once you get past that first like
it's just one door that you go through the back.
It's just a circle with the other countries where I remember as a kid thinking, this is not a vacation. this seems like it's almost trying to be education. What are we doing here? This is stupid.
It's a vegetation.
Yeah.
Education.
And it was like, well, my parents were too cheap. We had a cooler in the car in the parking lot with sandwiches. So when we got hungry, to walk all the way out, like almost like a 40-minute walk out to the car to get something to eat.
Did you get stamps on your wrist, or what was the?
No. You had the tickets back then.
Okay.
That was 80 whatever. Nowadays you get like either a magic band or some sort of other colonizing RFID.
Is that a whole day? Is that a whole day?
Well, yes, but we also had park hopper. So at any point in time, we could say, screw this, we're going to a different park. And we could go to either Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, or Disney Magic Kingdom. But we were too wasted, so we just, took the gondola back to our hotel.
Red in the chat is saying that this reminds him of Linux Fest and Cody by the vending machines.
Dude,
which Linux Fest?
Well, first off, it wasn't a vending machine; it's an ice machine.
That was at Northwest.
Yeah, well, Northwest, and he did it at Ohio Linux Fest once.
Oh, so that must be what Red's talking about, because I was just wondering if Red was at Linux Fest Northwest.
No, he wasn't at Northwest.
Oh, okay.
Man,
I thought I might know you, Red.
But I did take a picture of myself at the vending machine, and Cody called me a couple of things I can't say, and he said I was cheating on him, and I shouldn't take those kind of pictures, those scandalous pictures with other ice machines. But yes,
that's a voice I haven't heard in a long time.
Well, and what I couldn't believe was I had a doctor's appointment the week before, and I just had a doctor's appointment 3 days ago. Between those two dates, I lost weight. I don't know how the hell I did that, because at Disney, I didn't care. Give me food, give me dessert, give me.
You're doing a lot of walking around. That's why.
Oh my goodness, my hips hurt. I couldn't say it when I was there. Oh my God, my hips hurt. I'm like 80 years old. I feel like Biden. I keep forgetting stuff. I don't know where I'm going, and my hips are hurting. Oh, it hurts so much. And I swore to her, next time, maybe not Disney.
You're going to have to get a little rascal. You're going to be a scooter guy.
Well, she said, well, next time, maybe we can look at all-inclusive places. I'm like, the kind where you just sit down and go like this to the waiter. Yeah, sure. I'm looking at that.
They need like a little Uber rickshaw in there to take people from place to place.
With free margaritas.
Yeah.
I'm sure if there was a rickshaw. Well, here's the thing. Now they have a partnership with Lyft where you can go to a place, but the thing I don't like about it is you go to the Lyft spot, and if someone is going in the same route as you're going, they're going to get in the car with you. Nope.
Yeah.
I am a privileged person here. I am not sharing a vehicle with anybody. So when we needed an immediate pickup, we just dialed Uber up, and it was like, $5 go here, $6 go there. It's like $6, $20 tip. Because one thing I did learn was the more you tip the driver and the better you rate the driver, the quicker your next car will come to pick you up. It's just like at the bar. Just like at the bar. If you give that first tip of like $5, you're guaranteed you're never going to be waiting.
I tell you one thing, Ivor, I think that we need to get into the podcast network ownership game here, because Captain High Roller,
I reckon, jeez,
he's just peeling off hundies.
Well, that's because she gets
slapping down $20 tips.
No. I'm the government employee with 27 years of service. And I could take my shirt off and see the scars on my back from the service. She's the one who's making the money. So when she says we're going to Disney, I just say, as you wish.
Your wish is my command. Now give me another beer.
Well, I'm just like, I'm getting another beer. Do you want something?
I'm trying to remember, because I remember at Linux Fest Northwest, which I'm just thinking right now, Ivor, you're a Linux guy now. Come to my house.
Expert now.
You guys should come here for a bit of a hangout, and then we can drive down to Linux Fest Northwest.
Yeah, sounds great.
That is the perfect.
I'm free of the stench of Windows, so you can let me in your house now.
That fest is, to me, the perfect fest because it fights to not be too big. it
But
wants
it's
to be
also been a few years since we've been there too, though.
Oh, I know, but I keep up with it. I keep looking at it.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
It is the kind of fest you could literally, at the end of day 2 of shaking everyone's hand,
Yeah.
because it isn't huge, but you still have really important projects there. Like Matrix is there like every year.
Well, that's actually where I saw the database company that I'm using. Fauna DB was there many moons ago, and it interests me at that point, but I had no idea what it was. Still don't. All I know is that they kicked me in the nuts like Google.
Yeah.
Do you have to prove you put on deodorant that morning before you can get in?
No, this is more like a hamvention.
You have to be able to play frisbee,
disc golf.
What was the one? It was what was that app? There was that we were doing. Who had it? It was the one where you have to go look for things. Not it's like Pokemon before Pokemon, Inception.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, you know it.
Ingress.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? We were going around and somebody was. Maybe we were all doing that. I don't even know.
There was one person who was going crazy with it. I do remember that.
Who was it? What?
I know in Ohio Linux Fest, it was Timster. In Northwest Linux Fest, oh man, I can't remember who it was, but yeah, there was somebody going nuts for it. Where like, we have to stop over here because there's a whatchamacallit. They would just sit there and like tap on their phone, hacking.
But that was cool though, because we were rolling usually about 5 deep everywhere we went during that. That was fun.
Yeah, I just didn't like when they said, "Oh, you're from Maryland. You have to try our crab cakes." I said, "No, I don't." Crab cakes with bacon jelly. I thought to myself, "What the hell are you smoking?"
Well, it's Washington State, man. What do you think they're
bacon?
smoking?
Exactly.
Bacon. It can't be that bad.
The perfect example of Washington at that time was we called up to make the reservation at the restaurant. And then after I hung up, I realized I didn't tell them a number of how many people. So I called them up and I said, I made the reservation. I didn't tell you how many people. They were like, "Oh yeah, since last November, we don't care how many people, just show up."
Which restaurant was that? I remember we went to one. It was, or no, I was thinking of that trivia night. I believe it was.
No, this wasn't trivia night. That was crazy. This was, oh man, it was some like seafood. It was definitely a higher end seafood restaurant.
Was it Anthony's?
That does sound right. Yeah, the person's name, definitely. And I just remember when we rolled in, I'm thinking to myself, A, we are extremely underdressed for this situation. B, I don't think they're ready, but we're doing it anyway. And the waitress was super nice, but she was like, wow. And thank God there was one person with us who was stacked with cash who overtipped.
You?
No.
He's Irish. He doesn't do cash.
No.
Oh well, I got some news from my cousin who lives in the UK the other day. Well, back in January, she sent me a message saying, she sent me a message saying she's going to come over to New Zealand. No, it was a video call. We were having a video call. She comes and said, "Oh, I'm going to come over to New Zealand next year." This was in January, and I said, "Oh, great! It gives me a year to get ready for it." You know, I said, and I rather stupidly at the time I volunteered to take her for a tour around the North Island, and meet her off the plane, and we're going to do a bit of a week or two traveling around the country, and then I get an email about a week later saying, "Oh, I've booked my tickets and I'm going to be here in 3 weeks."
Oh, wow.
So I had to then plan a whole itinerary, book everything. So we're going to go to Hobbiton, we're going to go to the Waitomo glowworm caves, we're going to go down to all these different places, tourist attractions that she wants to see. She wants to do blackwater rafting, which is basically you hop on an inner tube and you go through this glowworm cave on an inner tube and a dry suit.
Oh, I was going to say that sounded racist, but now that makes more sense.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, yeah, because the glowworms there. Oh, yeah. They have literally worms that hang from the ceilings and they emit
luminescent. Yeah.
Yeah.
a luminescent glow, and you just go through the cave and it's like pulses really slowly. It's the kind of thing where if you were on like a psilocybin or something, ooh,
Yeah.
wow,
You need to get banged before you get on
yeah,
that
you would
YouTube
have
energy.
a really like good time. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm most looking forward to Hobbiton, but it's going to be a bit of a stretch because I'm going to be doing a lot of walking around. The
right.
tour of Hobbiton is 2.5 hours on your feet.
What
Ooh,
what makes
so you're going to
Hobbiton?
be
Is that where
like
the hobbits live?
a hobbit. Yeah,
Yeah, well, they don't even have shoes.
It's I thought that was a shire.
Well, yeah, they call it Hobbiton for some reason.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's going to be really cool. So I'm going to be away for about 10 days, and I'm going to take my 12-year-old daughter with me, and we're turning into a bit of an educational event, traveling around the North
Right.
because we're homeschooling her as well.
Oh, nice.
right.
Yeah.
I believe now that I'm trying to remember off the cuff, I believe those glowworms are one of only 3 non-water-based organisms that have bioluminescent.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay, I didn't know that.
One
There's
of them's
not
got to
many.
be a tree because I've seen roots down in Washington State. I've seen roots while hiking at night that glow.
Right.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Number 2, how long of a flight is it for someone from the UK to New Zealand? Because I believe for me it's over 18 hours.
Well, I think from the US, it's actually shorter than you think. It's from the US to Australia is 15 hours. We're actually closer. We're at 12 hours.
Yeah, but you got to remember it takes me 3 hours to get over to California.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's on the wrong coast.
Yeah, I'm on the
no,
wrong coast.
on the other
That's what I
coast. We're
think
gonna
from
go
the
to other
UK,
coast,
man.
Yeah, it's got to be 20 hours at least.
yeah.
Because
It's
well,
something
actually,
like
it's from the
18
UK
hours,
to
I
the
think.
18. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the UK to the East Coast is what, 6?
I don't know.
And then
I know it's a lot.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I did that flight once, and that was enough.
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's I've put some time in on airplanes, 20-hour flights, and just ridiculous, man. Like it's at that point it was okay because you're young and you know there's a
Flexible.
destination that
Yeah.
you're looking forward to.
Mhm.
And now I just want to cry.
Now if I sit in my car for 2 hours, I'm in pain.
That's right.
I can't handle more than 20 minutes.
Yeah. My hemorrhoids are killing me. Does your ass look like a bowl of Concord grapes?
Oh, you should have my trouble.
Sorry, Dora.
Yeah. For me, it's just my sciatica. Yeah. Okay. As far as Android hardware, I'll say we're at that stage where I believe everything is just boring as hell. We're not seeing any substantial things. We keep getting teased about more foldable and bendable and whatever devices. None of them seem to be catching on with any real significance. That's just me saying. I do think that the Android like Chromecast TV that the wife has is still surprisingly holding tight. It's still doing everything that she needs it to do. I'm not seeing anything change in that arena. I'm not seeing anything great coming out to like replace smart TVs and stuff.
Well, they're all integrating AI at the moment, aren't they? So you can have your Chromecast TV with built-in AI assistant, and it will tell you what you want to watch and crap.
Well, but they all want to charge money for the AI
Yeah, of course they do.
usage. So
Because they have to employ thousands of
so that they can,
workers to.
they want you to
train
pay for the advertising they're
LLM.
going to feed back to you.
Right.
Is what they want.
Exactly.
well, that and the
It's
amount of
multiples.
energy needed in air quote for the AI is still ridiculous. The guy behind behind the AI, OpenAI, had a secret meeting with NVIDIA, ARM, Intel, and somebody else, where he says he is going to find ways to promise $7 trillion with $1 trillion over the next 10 years in buying chips. So you all need to speed up your production of chips.
Was that the Bankman?
This was the
Sam
guy
Bankman-Fried.
who no. This was the guy who got fired from OpenAI and then basically
Yeah, went to Microsoft.
but then he immediately went back to.
His name's Sam Bankman or something like that. He's like
No. Sam Bankman-Fried was the guy with XTF, and he's in jail now.
FTX.
Yeah, but this guy is his name is very similar.
It is.
That
This
guy.
was the guy from Y Combinator who jumped into the AI field.
He's also the guy that started what the hell is it? It's a cryptocurrency where if they scan your retinas, then you get a certain. Oh yeah, for sure. So they were building a database. I think they started in Africa, and they're building a database on people's retinas, and then they give them $50 or whatever. Sam Altman.
Yeah.
So and then have your whatever Ethereum token that you give out, and so it's the same guy. Like this, he is definitely a bit of a data whore for sure.
That's a very generous way to put it. He's a guy. He's a guy who I think believes there's some sort of like fate that his name needs to be documented in history for doing stuff. I'm pretty sure, like 8 months from now, something like that, nobody's gonna know his name. But like a Microsoft Copilot and Android Gemini, Google Gemini, which used to be called Bard, launched in the last month on Android, so you can download, you can install. Now, when I hold down my power button and I try to tell Google to set an alarm for 2 hours from now because I'm old and I need a nap, it's asked me, "Do you want to try Gemini now?" I know.
I've been using ChatGPT a bit on this project, trying to figure out how to utilize it as much as possible for coding, like to create functions. But the problem is that and I actually paid for a month of the ChatGPT 4 so that I could get better results. And they're from 2023 in March, I think.
Right.
And the services that I'm using have gone through major changes in that last year. And so it's pretty much irrelevant information because it's still not up to date enough to help.
Well, if you're using, 2 to 3 year old code base, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to use anything modern, it is. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with, just using Google and searching for stuff and deciding myself, is this content relevant? Is this content trustworthy? Not, you tell me what's relevant. You tell me what's trustworthy result set. So the only time I use like voice searching is when me and the wife are in the car and I say, the mom from Good Times is alive, but the dad from Good Times is dead. And it turns out I'm completely wrong. To which I say, yeah, see, that's just Google trying to like change history. That's all.
Yeah, it's 1984, man.
And then I just keep driving. And she's like, you can't even admit you're wrong. I'm not wrong. I just don't trust this search result.
Yeah, prove it. Get the encyclopedia. Point it out to me.
Right.
I'll believe it then.
Yeah.
We still have an encyclopedia. We break it out every once in a while, and Solomon has a question, and it's let's go find the C encyclopedia.
Right.
Oh, I bought an atlas the other day.
Nice.
That's great. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the National Geographic one. They do a hardcover version, leather bound and everything.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Does it have topless women? Is that why you bought it?
All right. Yeah. You found me out.
I'm a child of the 80s. I know these things.
Yes, I might.
Exactly. What do you do with that National Geographic? Nothing.
Just go to the toilet.
Looking at the pictures.
Reading the articles. Yeah. I just got some news about my brother Eric, who occasionally shows up in the chat. He's had to go into surgery for a bowel problem he's been having.
Ooh.
So he's back at work. It was about 3 weeks ago. He's back at work, at the moment, but he's still in a fair bit of pain. So hopefully he gets better soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are we supposed to say like sending him our prayers or something now?
Thoughts
Yeah,
and prayers.
thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. May peace find you.
Yep.
Wait, that sounds macabre.
Rubbing on my healing crystal when I send my thoughts and
Yeah.
prayers.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking into that kind of stuff, man. Like,
Oh no.
oh yeah, sure. Something's got to help because it's not because Chat GPT is not going to do it.
True.
No, blackmail. Blackmail works, but you got to know who to blackmail. That's like the hard part.
Yeah, well, then that's where the data comes in as well, right? You
big
need
data.
that amount of data for sure. I mean, that's how do you think that politicians are controlled, and just about anybody else that has any amount of power?
Right.
You don't get to be president if you're a good person. That's for sure.
Can't argue that. I mean, yeah. So with that said, one of my good friends, Tracy Holtz, he's an audiobook file. He's the guy who is addicted to audiobooks, but he's addicted to not paying for stuff when he doesn't have to. This is the way I put it.
I think I have the same problem.
Yeah, him and Jonathan Nadeau were like back and forth trading audiobook libraries and seeing like how much stuff they could find, how much stuff they could get. And then he puts his audio on his Plex server. Now, the default audio interfaces in Plex, whether it be on your desktop, on your TV, or on your phone, is literally like pulling teeth with dead octopus tentacles. It sucks. It's a really painful thing to do. It's not good. The interface is bad. The search is bad. The shuffle is bad. Everything about it is just bad and horribly bad. Step up this application called Plex Amp, Plexamp. It's literally by Plex, but I never knew about it. With this application, it is super easy to, let's say, load up somebody's library and say, play stuff in his library from the 70s. And it will only play music from that person's library from the 70s. Or let me play this audiobook from Tracy's library, and I stop it halfway through. I then go to somebody else's library, start a different audiobook, come back to Tracy's and pick up where I left off. I'm not going to say this is the best like home solution for audio while you're not in your home, but this is definitely among the best I've ever used.
There I disagree with you, Dor. There I disagree with you. I find I use Plexamp outside the home all the time, and it's fantastic. It works all the time. No skipping, no jumping, no slowing down. Right. Yeah, you said you're not going to say it's the best.
Well, I don't want to say it's the best because I know I haven't witnessed all of them, but I know this is damn good.
Well, it's certainly the best I've tried.
Yeah.
I've tried
so yeah, Plex Amp by Plex Inc. It does have some sort of in-app purchases. I'm pretty sure that's for the Plex Pass, which you really don't need in my experience. 4.6 average reviews, 100,000 plus downloads. E for everyone, which is always a good thing. Data safety. This app may share your location with third parties. The data is encrypted in transit, and you can request for data to be deleted. I still can't believe no podcast anywhere mentions these type of informations when it comes to Android apps. They're literally incompetent when it comes to personal safety, personal privacy, or just keeping your data anonymous. If someone knows of a podcast that does cover those kinds of data points, please share them with me because I need better sources of information is what I'll say. So yeah, this to me is a golden application, and the interface isn't perfect, but it's so easy to just go to someone's library and say, play me Beatles.
Yep.
And it will go for like 2 hours.
If you have a Plex Pass, you can download it, music directly from the Plex server and onto your device and listen to it offline. So that's the only functionality that's I think is locked out if you don't have a have a Plex Pass. But in terms of its usability, its UX, it's fantastic compared to Spotify or other streaming apps. I use it all the time.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to mention, and I don't think I would be able to find it in time, is they have in air quote, what I'll say, a unique capability. Oh, yeah. You can set up what's called a guest DJ. And the guest DJ can say, keeps going with content from the same year, or keep going with the same style, or keep going with the same artist, or keep going with tracks from, all these kinds of different niches with that song that you picked. And then there's no guest DJ. Basically, it just goes totally random. That
So you have to have pretty good data for that to work properly, I'd imagine. Like, because it must use metadata of some kind. So if you've got, I just know how a lot of my files are garbage at this point. That
well, I would say that on adding music files onto my Plex server, Plex, the application itself, Plex Amp and Plex TV app,
right,
do not handle the information, the metadata of the file very well. You have to go through each individual song and give it an album name and give it an artist name. And
right, exactly.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a pain, but it's just talking about the Plex Pass thing though. The annual Plex Pass care costs $75, which I think is about $50 US. But I pay over $300 a year for Spotify Family Plan, and this application certainly beats that hands down.
Say that again. $300 a year for
$300. I pay $25 a month for Spotify Family Plan.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. But when you add it up to
$300 a year, $300 a year,
yeah.
$25 a month, yeah,
$25 a month. But yeah. I mean, that's still, all that stuff is just adding up so fast.
Well, and it's not going to slow down.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter though. I mean, what's $25? It's there's a stat that I heard the other day that was a dollar in 1903 is now worth 2 or 3 cents.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the opposite is also true. Like a loaf of bread back then literally was like $1, which equated to 8 hours worth of work, where today a loaf of bread is $5, but it equates to 1 hour's worth of work. So it's like saving, what it ends up being is saving money for your retirement is the worst thing you've ever done in your life, because money constantly loses value.
Yeah.
And no, the answer is not by gold. Just throwing that out there.
Or silver,
or anything like that, because a great book by Marion Tupy talked about how every time we think we're coming to the end of some sort of resource, we figure out how to get it better. The perfect example was aluminum. At one point in time, aluminum was worth more than gold, silver, copper combined, because it was
very rare.
Because it was very rare to find in its natural form. But then once we learned how to get it out of, extract it from other rocks and minerals, it became dirt cheap.
Then you can really start exploiting countries.
Well,
Australia produces a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, that was what Get Up, Stand Up by Bob Marley.
Mm-hmm.
That was that song was based on bauxite and the pillaging of Jamaica.
I still haven't watched that movie. It just came out on Valentine's Day, but I definitely want to watch it because I know I like Bob Marley. It's basically like a movie about Bob Marley's life. I know about the man. I really like his music and style, but I know I'm incompetent about everything that he did and stood for. Except he had sex and had kids. Like,
yeah, well, share my bed. It's a single bed, whatever that song was. Yeah, all right.
Well, the one song I always remember is Three Birds.
How's that one go?
3 birds
sitting on a tree.
Sitting on a tree. I can't remember. I just know whenever I hear that song, I then can sing it word for word. But now, no, I can't remember.
I don't know a whole lot about him. either.
I just know he was like a revolutionary kind of thing. And, you know, some people really hated him.
And he's a soundtrack to university. So, like, what? Right? Like that's, I think that's where I grew an appreciation for him.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing about this Plex amp is that if you are sharing your Plex library with other people, they can also access your musical library as well as your video library. So I can go and because Plex Door is sharing his library with me, so I can switch over to his library and have a look at the 4,000 songs he's got there, most of which are called unknown. But
sweet metadata.
This is unknown by unknown. There's a lot of those.
That's fun though, man. Just put that on shuffle.
Yeah. You can just put it on shuffle and you know everything's a surprise. But it's fantastic. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I was looking for an application that did two things and I still can't find it. I need a deduplication application for my music, and I need a scanning application that can then fill in all the metadata. And because I made the mistake, well, I'll say, I don't know, prayers or whatever. I made the mistake. I uploaded all of my audio to Google Music.
Yeah.
Google Music died when I downloaded all my music. Some of it was in much better quality than I uploaded it. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Goog. But it definitely screwed up my layout, my folder structure and everything to where now there's a whole bunch of duplicates.
Yeah, I feel you, man. That happened. I was actually in Australia next door to Ivor, and I don't know what I was doing. I was in infancy of my digging around to computers, and I had a whole hard drive of music, and I formatted it. And so then I used a bunch of tools to figure out how to get it back, but then it comes with an even worse file structure, right. The directory structure than that. And so, yeah, it was finding dedupe is, right. I mean, there's some pretty strong, you're in a really good world right now, Ivor, so joining Linux. Like there's, if you need a tool for something, you might have to drop down to the terminal and do some typing, but you can
I've never had to. I've not had to use a terminal so far.
You haven't had to, or you?
Well, you haven't used Windows. Also,
I haven't had to. I haven't had to use the terminal at all.
Yeah, you'll drop down there every once in a while, and you're going to find yourself into a whole new world.
Yeah. Right. You might need some Bob Marley music playing when you do that, I will say. The one app I might actually try to get reinstalled and downloaded on my Linux app server again is Piano Bar Live. The main reason I might try to get that installed again, because Piano Bar Live was the application you could connect with a free Pandora account. Okay. Go through and pick like 5 or 6 songs and say, these are my songs with a brand new account. Hit the button. It would in the background download everything that it listened to with correct file structure, correct metadata, correct ID3 information, and correct album art. And then you could take that and make that into your library. Because it might be easier for me to do that than try to fix what I got.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm an American. The last thing I'm going to do is actually spend time fixing my mistake.
Yeah, but that's not, I mean, that's tedious, man. Like that is some tedious maneuvering right there.
Yeah.
Trying to go and fix names and metadata. No, thanks.
Well, I mean,
I was in the bath.
Yeah.
What's that?
I didn't mind while I was sitting in the bath. Went through the whole library, updated everything.
Oh yeah, right.
While I was listening to a podcast.
Yeah. And with like the batch renaming stuff that's out there, you really can do a lot of stuff. Yeah. But if it's not named, expressly correct, Plex won't pick it up right. I've learned that. Where it's the same thing with TV shows and seasons and stuff. If you don't have it named particularly correct, Plex will just say unknown.
Cool.
Now, quick tangent. I'm a Google Opinion Rewards person. I'm a Screenwise panel person, which is a Google thing. I'm a Gallup poll member. I've also learned if you're a Nielsen family member, you can't say you're a Nielsen family member. I'm not a Nielsen family member. So I decided I'm going to try to basically sell all of my information to everybody instead of just giving it away. When I signed up for at least one of the services, when I said I was using Plex, like, no, I don't use Spotify. No, I don't use this. No, I don't use that. No, I don't use that. It's like, what other one do you use? I use Plex. What? I use Plex. Can you spell that? Plex. What is Plex? I said, think of it like Netflix, except I can watch my library, but I can also watch other people's library. They said, I don't know how to classify that one. And then, do you listen to music? Do you listen to this, that? No, I listen to Plex. Okay. So, yeah. So now I find myself, I believe if I'm calculating things right, myself, I'm going to make over $400 to $500 this year just selling my DNA and everything to everybody.
Do you go to the sperm bank door? I'm just asking for a friend.
Almost. That's what I'll say. The good thing is
they keep sending me away. I keep showing up.
Yeah, I don't have
only 3 times a day, Ivor.
I mean, the good thing is I don't have to do anything, just what I'm already doing. But there's then a benefit to having 2 phones, a tablet, and multiple computers, because then I can install the software on all of them and, like, get 5 times the amount of thanks in air quotes than I would normally get.
Well, then you can pay for a Spotify membership for your family.
No.
Well, I suggested at the dinner table one time that I would cancel Spotify. I was going to cancel Spotify because it was just costing too much, and I didn't like it. The bit rate was too low. You didn't get high H definition audio, and they was putting. That's when they increased the prices and brought in a advertising tier. So even though you're paying, you're still getting advertising.
Yeah, and that's great. I love it. I love that stuff. Yeah. You can't Amazon Music. You can't listen to an album. Everything's shuffle.
Oh, really?
You can't. You have to pay for Amazon Music now in order to get any sort of functionality that.
Yeah. So anyway, I suggested that I was going to cancel Spotify, and you would think that all their throats had been cut.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you right now, YouTube Music, I am shocked at how well that works.
Yeah, it's great. I listen to it through Vi Music, the open source app, and it's great. It's high definition. It's it works. It's got everything that Spotify's got.
Right. Well, and if you're on your desktop, you can literally watch the music videos.
Yeah.
Which at least one of the songs, I was shocked to find it was a white woman singing the whole time. Blew my mind. Yeah. New Shoes.
Oh, Aerosmith. Oh,
well, no. That's a lesbian. That's different.
Oh, okay. No, how much does Google Music cost?
Nothing, because I'm already paying for YouTube Premium.
No, okay, yeah.
Family plan.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we got somebody that used to live here in our basement.
A troll? Got it. Okay.
Well, no, they had Spotify. And so we've been on, like, they put us down as family or whatever. So we've been on that for probably 6 or 7 years. And then I need to call them and yell at them, but they canceled their subscription. So now, like, listening, and then all of a sudden there's 4 minutes of ads. So this is unusable. It's unusable.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I'm still paying YouTube Premium family plan where I'm being nice to people. I'm on because they just raised the rates again. But there's no way I can watch YouTube with the ads. I'm pretty sure I'd rather find a hole in the wall and stick body parts through it and just see what happens. That's how much I don't want to watch ads on YouTube, because they're so horrendously bad. And if it comes to me giving up YouTube, fine. I've given up better things in my life, like cigarettes and single manhood and stuff like that, but
manhood in general.
Well, technically speaking, my wife has my balls in her purse, but that's different. But yeah, I will never sit through another YouTube ad for the rest of my stinking life, is the way I put it. No way. Can't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that
we've been
reminds
watching
me.
a bit more. Sorry, go ahead, Ivor.
So we got an email from Steve Woody at 90@gmail. Steve Woody at Steve
keeping
Woody.
us on track. Nice one.
Yeah, this came through on the 13th of February. Nice little segue there into an email.
That's right.
So he's congratulating us on our 600 episodes, and that's nice. Thank you, Steve. He says, I've enjoyed listening since episode 1. Wow. I have seen your show appear on my YouTube feed, but it has not shown up on Podcast Addict yet. Yada, yada, yada. Recently, I listened to an audio book called Atomic Habits, which got me interested in the idea of tracking healthy habits as a daily walk, meditation, cold shower, etc. Lifting weights. That was going for you, Josh, cold shower. Getting enough sleep, etc. I searched on the Play Store and found an app called Loop Habit Tracker, and he's got a link to that, and I'll put it up in the chat in a minute. It's a free app, no ads, and I have enjoyed testing out the widgets. I find the progress graph quite motivating, and it's good to keep an upward trend. I'm not sure if you have mentioned it on your show in the past and thought you might like to discuss it on your show. Great, we will. Now, we've recently had a new Samsung Smart TV and wondered if there's a way around watching YouTube on there without all of the ads. Speak of the devil. When you're used to not seeing them through NewPipe, it's a pain waiting for a video to start. Do you have any ideas to work around, please? Is it possible to install NewPipe maybe, and how would I do it? Anyways, keep up the good work, and I look forward to hearing the latest episodes soon. So I went back to Steve and I sent him a link to an Android Authority article which explains how to do it for 3 different methods for installing NewPipe on your Android TV. But I just wondered if you guys have ever tried doing that. I've tried it once and it didn't go very well.
I've never used an Android TV still, but I've tried very hard to get it on a Roku TV, which is probably running Android TV or at least Linux in the background.
Yeah.
And I cannot find a way to do it. I can use whatever Bluetooth magic and stream from my phone to my TV and just use NewPipe on there and then stream it. But I mean, that's a pain in the butt as well. So,
well, I have SkyTube, which does have Chromecast built in, which is really good. It's a godsend. So you get ad-free and Chromecast, and you can download to your hard drive and everything. That's fantastic.
What's it called?
It's called well, hang on a sec. It's called SkyTube Extra. Now the thing about SkyTube Extra is that it's been orphaned, so it hasn't had an update for a while, and the developer's not really interested in doing any more on it. But it works fine at the moment. The Chromecast is a little bit ropey sometimes, but I still manage to make it work, and I'm living the ad-free life.
Yeah, I'll say I never even contemplated sitting upstairs watching YouTube on the main television, mainly because I don't think of that as being my television. That's the wife's television, where she watches constant murder, death, rape series with a lot of police, a lot of FBI, some missing children things going on as well sometimes. But I don't watch YouTube on it. When I want to chill and watch YouTube, I literally come down to my desktop computer, put the headphones on, and watch YouTube. Between all of us, I might be coming into a little bit of money here in the next 30 days where I'll be able to buy a new computer and actually post-process stuff in a timely fashion. But I also might have enough money to stick a TV up on the wall over there. My logic is the TV might be good for some retro gaming fun, but also for some longer form YouTube content delivery. The easiest way for me to experience YouTube ad-free on a TV is to pay the money and be YouTube premium.
But how long
otherwise,
till they start showing you ads anyway, Dor? How long till they start saying, "Oh, you're paying us money, but we're going to show you ads anyway"?
Well,
just
they're
like
not.
Spotify have done.
At least they're not.
They're not yet.
And even Netflix had the ad tier, and they got rid of the ad tier. But also, what I would end up doing is literally not watching it through an app especially a Samsung TV. No way. Because Samsung TVs, between you and me, you can't even turn the mic off. If you literally put what's it called? The tester device on the mic on a Samsung TV, the mic never turns off. There's no way to turn the mic off. It's always recording. It's always sending data up to Samsung. Hence, they can sell you an 85-inch TV for like $300 because they're making money off you the other ways.
Yeah.
I would have a computer hooked up to the TV running YouTube Premium and then running Sponsor Block on top of it, because to me, the ads almost aren't the worst part. To me, the worst part is, and this episode is brought to you by Prestige VPN. If you want to keep yourself protected, you need to purchase. No, screw that. I don't want to hear that either. To me, that's worse than some of the ads. So I use Sponsor Block, which also gets rid of all that. So quite literally, a lot of times I watch a 15-minute video, it ends up being a 7-minute video because it takes out all the incredibly douche stuff that I don't care about. I don't care if you're being sponsored by anything at all. Because if I want a provider for VPN, if I want a provider for Office 365 type stuff, if I want a provider for this, I go and do my own research. And guess what? 99% of the time, it's never somebody who's I've heard about being sponsored on anything.
Or if you're going to do that, just try to have a reputation that's good enough to where you can just say, hey, if you're looking for a VPN, try this, check it out.
You mean like how I would right now tell people
Done.
private PIA, private internet access is one of the best. And guess what? They're not paying me. And guess what? They've been brought into court where they say you need to give up information, and they give up the information, and then the lawyers figure out, oh wait, this is useless. So yeah, if you want a trusted VPN provider, PIA, they're not paying me for it. And if they were paying me for it,
I've been using Proton, which is
that's a good one.
One of the only new apps that I have. Just because that's one of the subscriptions that I do pay for is Proton Mail. And now they've got, and that's the thing too, Ivor, I see the exact same road map, right? Like it's, now you pay this and you're going to get the VPN. You also get the Proton Pass, which is a password manager that I've kind of been dabbling with as well. And this is great. But then how long until it's popped off into its own payment tier?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and with PIA, Dora, I hate to burst your bubble, but Cape Technologies bought that back in 2019.
Yeah, they did, but there's still been since then they've had court cases where they demand data and they get useless information. So that company, while granted they're a for-profit company, they have still not screwed the pooch like LastPass and completely turned on the end user. There was fears of it. I understand it, but so far that's all FUD.
Can you point your Android device, Android TV? Can you point it at a pie hole? Would that strip the?
Not all the functionality is very basic. You can't. No, you can. You might be able to do something like that.
You've got to be able. You can't change the DNS. You've got to be able to change the DNS.
Yes.
I mean, you can do that in your phone.
No. You don't have to change the DNS if you in your router have it as your DNS.
Okay, so it's not going to matter. Like,
I do believe if you go into your Android, you can say advanced settings and set DNS by hand.
You should be able to. I mean, you can do it on your phone.
But I'll also say, am I the only one that thinks like Groucho Marx these days? Groucho Marx.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one to us.
Yeah.
Groucho Marx once said, "I would never in my life be part of a club that would have me as a member."
Oh, exactly.
Right.
If someone wants to sponsor me, I don't want anything to do with them. If literally, I've had companies approach me and ask me about sponsorships. If you want something to do with me, there's no way I want anything to do with you. Get away. And between you and me, there was one person in the community who I really pissed off majorly, because the first time they contacted me, they said, look, they would pay me $50 if I would sit down and do a video call with them. It's like, how dare you? I'm not some whore that you can just give money to.
I don't even talk to you for less than 100.
Right.
I don't get out of bed for less than 10,000.
Yeah. And he was definitely mad that I said that. And then after a couple back and forths, we're basically friends now. But because he was under some impression like my time is so valuable, I won't stop what I'm doing and talk. I said, no, I'm the only person who talks to end users and listeners like they're my friends. You don't need to pay me. Yeah.
So you didn't take the money?
No, I didn't. But I'll also say again, if you contact the podcast and you never hear anything back from anybody on the show, they obviously don't care about you. I say that 90% of the podcasts I listen to now over 155 subscriptions. 90% of them never reply to an email I've ever sent.
And he's not talking about me. I love everyone, even if I don't answer it because
Right.
I haven't checked that, and I need to do an episode.
Right. Or they just don't even read your email because they don't care about your email. All they care about is, can I count you as a number that I tell my ad platform that can give me more money?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Joe Rogan just went back to
Who?
RSS. What?
Who?
Joe Rogan.
Who's that?
Yeah, but he just went back to RSS.
So he left.
So
he's not exclusive to. No, he's still with Spotify.
Yeah,
But he's not exclusive
Spotify.
anymore.
So it wouldn't. You'd have to use the Spotify app to listen to his podcast, and whether you like it or not, a lot of people do. And people will actually go to use the Spotify app just to listen to.
Oh, I believe it.
That, and I couldn't do it. There's no chance. And then he popped up on Podcast Addicts. So okay, the world is aligned. I mean, everybody. There shouldn't be any walled gardens as far as podcasting go.
Oh, so as far as any media is concerned, I literally despise people that say you can listen to our content, but we have special content behind our paywall. If you would just pay us a couple dollars, I don't understand those people. What's wrong with you?
And if you don't have video, you might want to check it out on YouTube. From that little.
And like the only one that almost does it right that I know of is Sam Harris, because Sam Harris says you can listen to half the podcast, and the other half is behind our Patreon thing. But if you tell me you can't afford it, I'll give you the link, and it'll work anyway. But I'm too lazy to even send him an email. So, he's not getting my email because I know he wants my email, because email is the future cash kind of thing. So no, he's not getting my email. Anything I listen to where they hide stuff behind a paywall, I will never give them a Patreon penny.
Well, getting back to Steve's email, he mentions that Loop Habit Tracker app. Now, I've never used a habit tracker app, but I've seen lots of them. And I just wonder if you guys have ever tried one.
I start one, but then I can't make it a habit to use it. So it's just sort of a catch-22.
Well, I'm not really very comfortable with whoever's running this app getting all this information on me and my daily habits. Privacy is a big concern.
X Xavier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe we've ever brought Loop Habit Tracker. I will say, looking at the details, the deets on it kind of thing, this is a extremely deep habit tracker, which requires you to join in. You need to be all in on the gamification of your habits. And, it's I install the habit tracker. Oh, that's cool. Click it. Oh, that's cool. 2 days later, I forget it's there and I never launch it again.
Yeah. I got a piece of armor. What was that one? I could never Habita
RPG. But yeah, Loop Habit Tracker by Allison X Xavier. 4.7 reviews. That's pretty good. 5 million downloads. Dear God. E for everyone. Data safety. No data is shared with third parties. No data is collected. I like that. Updated February 8th, 2024 productivity app.
So they say that no data is shared, no data is collected until it's not.
Well, that was one thing that Gibson tried to cover last week. Version 2.2.1 compatibility works on your device. 10 megs, Android 9 and up. Very cool. I will say the app looks great. Yeah, one thing that Steve Gibson suggested happens is in all app stores or extension stores like the Chrome Web Store, Firefox add-ons, or whatever, that when the ownership of an application, an extension, or anything changes ownership, that we, the user, be notified that such thing has happened. It's never going to happen, but I would love it if I would literally get a ping every time any of my extensions, any of my add-ons, any of my Chrome Web Store, any of my Android applications, any of those things change ownership, because that's when those kind of behaviors in my history, when I look at it, happens. When an app changes ownership, then all of a sudden they figure out little ways to change the policy and, get a little information out of a little money.
Do no
Maybe I'm just
evil,
being
Door.
overly
Do no evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just being a bit overly paranoid, but something you enter all your habit details into. It's a lot of very intimate personal information in this, like how much you sleep, especially if you have a system where insurance companies might be interested in this sort of stuff later on. You're really put your premiums up if you do the wrong thing. This sends a shiver down my spine.
Yeah, I don't think you're overly paranoid. I mean, it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility.
Right. And it isn't like it hasn't happened before.
I can tell you one thing, that Charmin would pay probably a fortune to get your BM schedule.
I should work on that. We should turn that into an app in itself, a BM app.
Right.
BM tracker.
Well, speaking of things changing hands and becoming a little dirty in the process, we used to love the simple applications, is what they were called. The simple calculator, simple note-taking app. There was the simple application set, and they were purchased by somebody else to where even the flashlight had some kind of in-app purchase now. That's driving the open source people crazy. Now, kind of like when you decide on a framework to put your hitch to, you're then reliant on them to do the right thing in the future for you to remain good. Same thing with these applications, and the simple set of applications were then forked. Right now it's called Fossify, Fossify, where it looks at this simple mobile tools set, forked it, and took out all of the garbage that got punched into it after it got rebought. So if you still want to use the simple mobile tools type application, but use something that is still at least friendly without privacy invasion kind of things, look for Fossify. And they have at least 6 of their applications currently up: calendar, phone, messages, music player, file manager, and gallery.
Well, that didn't take long for Simplify to get unsimplified. Because I think we talked about that last time we were together, and it just happened. So I guess that was a long time ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago.
The good thing is that the community was aware of it, and they noticed all the changes, and they started literally screaming on places like Reddit, of course, about this change that happened, and it's not cool.
But you know what? And that's great. I mean, this is the open source ecosystem, right? You buy an open source project and then you crapify it somehow, and someone else says, all right, well, we'll just take this fork, and hopefully there's enough people that can figure out a way to be able to maintain it for, an extended amount of time. Because it's got to be a bit of work, and you're going to have at least a few dedicated people to developing it.
And servers and infrastructure and everything else.
But it's so great, though. It's just so like this is decentralization as well. An example of it, it's there. And I mean, this is the thing with, anyway, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole.
Well, I mean, you're exactly right. It also is almost on the same tangent of if you're not paying for a product, you are the product kind of thing. If you don't once in a while dip into your personal wallet and give things like this a little bit of money, you're going to end up on getting screwed over. You know what I mean?
Or contributing in any way that you can, sending a
True.
note
Thank you.
about it, or I mean, testing out the beta, you know, whatever, just
Right.
trying to break things for them. I mean, that's vital information that
Oh, yeah.
is worth more than money, especially in the earlier processes of the application or the
Definitely.
project.
And especially if you can give feedback that helps them do things better in the future, that's the kind of thing they can't put a price on.
Yeah, don't send an email that says this is broken. Like,
Right. This sucks, man.
Yeah, this is terrible. It's broken. Well, a little more information would be helpful.
Yeah. So I definitely wanted to mention that, and I will not lie. About 10 days after I learned about this, I had to drop them at least $10. And Wikipedia, and there's a couple other things where every year Audacity is one of them I still give money to because it still works the way I want it to. Where I'm going to go out of my way, try to at least every year give them a little something.
Well, Fossify, that was that messenger app that you brought, Ivor.
Yeah,
is that the same? That's the same suite? Because I didn't know. I guess Simple had a messenger or a app.
Yeah, so I was Simple, went to Fossify. I tried using Fossify SMS for a while. Didn't handle pictures very well.
Right.
Yeah, that's what
multimedia messaging. So I went back to QK SMS. And I'll put a link to that in the chat. So if anybody else wants to have a look at it. The only thing I missed from not using Google Messages is having the web application, so I can log in on a web page and access from a browser for SMS. But I want SMS to die. I think we all need to switch to something else.
Boxer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Boxer. Even if it's WhatsApp, if it has to be, there's Signal. There's like a million messaging, and it's an interesting development coming through with social media. With I forget what it's called, but basically, with the Mastodon service, you can cross post across Mastodon, across Nostr, across Twitter, across Facebook, everything. So yeah, it's all coming together, I think, and we just got to keep the big corporations out.
But then it also, I mean, it's sort of I don't know if you call it the protocol wars, maybe at this point in technology, where you do have these Telegram and Messenger, and I mean, I don't even know exactly which ones fit into what categories with Slack and Discord and everything else. And then, but they don't talk to each other. And then you have to have some sort of middleware that gets all convoluted and buggy to try to get, they take a tweet deck or something that goes and you post through all the different ones. So it's similar to the Linux kernel we were talking about earlier. If it was just standardized, then, I mean, and that's what Nostr kind of looks to achieve, is that central, or that protocol that anybody can use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's
Tech Alter did a good video on it the other day
on Nostr.
On the shared protocols. So you can didn't mention Nostr, but got very close to it.
There's some random one that Bitcoin people use, but I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is the attempt to try to do that unification stack again, to harken back to the days of like Pigeon or ICQ, to where you could link other protocols into one, in air quote, simple messaging app.
But it's still, man, it's just, you're relying on everything, and it's just asking for disaster.
Well, I mean, to start with, there was nothing wrong with XMPP, which was the old, like, IRC days messaging protocol, which anybody could adopt and use. But then everyone wanted to be their own stack, whether it was Slack, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever. They all want to be their special little place. I really hope messaging does come back to where it doesn't matter what platform you're on. I can just search for Ivor and say something instead of knowing, oh, well, nope, he's on Telegram. Right now he's on Telegram. Let me jump over to Telegram. I don't want to have to do that kind of mental gymnastics. I just want to.
Well, it's not even mental gymnastics. It's just annoying and time consuming. And just like, what, I don't want to be on all these things. Like I'll check Telegram every once in a while, but I don't really use it. I don't know. I don't use it.
Yeah.
I don't really use a lot of them though.
I don't use any of them. I just keep telling people, look, email me if you want me to, because right now that's the only like one thing I can tell people that they understand that works.
I do some things on Slack. I mean, but again, I'd rather have it all go to a centralized, for me, location.
Right.
So you said XM, what is it called? XMSS? XMPP. So what was the limitation of that as to why it didn't?
Well, it was a little bit more difficult to do the rich stuff.
Yeah, no text.
You had to do
messaging.
like when you sent like videos or content, it would link, and it wasn't actually embedded into it. Because it was so old, security came second. So you had to like put security on top of it for it to work right. But and then once Google dropped XMPP in their original Google Voice, maybe, or Google Chat, maybe Hangouts, maybe it was Hangouts. And once they dropped it, there was when the dominoes started to just go down, and where everyone started using their own stuff.
Yeah, that's when you know it's going to die eventually, is when Google picks it up and starts using it.
Yeah, just a matter of time.
I mean, that's crazy. That's just like it's the North raising the South as they go back up, right? Just scorched earth.
Yeah. It's the companies figuring out how can we silo our users to where they need us.
And then screw them over and over and over again and just have them coming back wanting more.
Right. Because it isn't popular enough. Let's try again.
Yeah. We just killed that. We're going to raise our price. Okay. Yeah.
Well, talking of messaging apps, there's an article I sent around on Voxer today. I'll put it in the chat now about iMessage. That's putting it onto. It's adopting a encryption's protocol that makes it the same level as Signal. So Apple is obviously getting the message that its users want their messaging to be secure and encrypted, and now they've just gone and adopted the same protocols as Signal.
Yeah, I believe this was started because the EU, I thought it was the EU, told them they had to start to use RCS as the standard to get rid of the different colored bubbles that Android people had versus their native users had.
Just something for people to argue about.
Yeah, literally.
It's crazy.
Exactly. And I do believe it has the potential to like approach Signal type level of security, but once Signal figures out a way to detach from the phone number, I don't think this is going to be in the same level as what I'll say. Number one. Number two, this will never be at the same level of Signal, period, because Apple owns the keys. They own the private key, which means Apple is the only one who can decode anything when it comes to iMessages. With Signal, you, the end user, owns the key. The actual base company does not own the private key of encryption, decryption. So,
nor should it.
Nor should it. So that's where this one article is, in my humble opinion, incredibly inaccurate because it doesn't understand. Well, okay, look. You get like a Google Titan key token that lets you log in via the USB to Google services, you get it not to protect you as a user. You get it so Google trusts Google more. It's for Google's security to be better, not my personal security to be better. My personal security to be better, I have my own, like Raspberry Pi type solution with its own encryption key and its own
There's
security and its
YubiKey.
own password, or a YubiKey, something like that.
Mm.
Which is why I'm shocked no one's bought YubiKey. I swore somebody was going to buy YubiKey like 5 years ago and just like simple apps just screw them over royally.
People don't understand it. They get scared of
No,
technology.
yeah, no. There's. I would wonder what the use percentage is. I have one, and I actually need it for.
And it works great.
It does if I can find it, because I have to
Yeah,
carry
it's
it
got to be
around.
on your
as well.
keyring or something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But one thing that I think the iMessage upgrade is about is adapting to post-quantum computing. So all these people are afraid of quantum computers coming along and being able to smash through your encryption keys in the blink of an eye because they're super powerful. And now they're just adopting these new protocols which are going to basically slow that down.
What are you trying to hide? What are you trying to hide, Ivor? If you didn't do anything wrong, then why do you care if they're checking out your data?
I have nothing I want you to see.
Yeah. I will say, the good thing about quantum computers is how slow we've been successful at them. And I say that because literally like 5 years ago, we understood elliptic curve encryption.
Yeah.
With that, I don't care if you build a quantum computer the size of the sun, you're not getting past that encryption. We already know exactly what encryption is completely foolproof versus quantum computers. It's just a question of implementing them, which of course, the bigger the company, like Apple, like a Microsoft, like a Google, the harder it is to steer the ship and have it turn to make an actual significant change to something like this.
Shareholders.
As long as they do that change faster than the quantum computers become readily available, there's literally nothing to worry about. I understand it's great to catch news articles. It's great to catch headlines. It's great to get clicks when they say how all of our passwords and all of our secure communications are at risk. The dirty secret is, just like Y2K, in hindsight, nothing is at risk. Absolutely nothing, except you're going to have some people profit from making the switch over, like IBM made a metric crap ton with Y2K, because updating a mainframe ain't easy. It's kind of hard work. The companies that are going to update the backbones of Microsoft, the Google, the app, they're going to all make cash, steady cash.
And for any of you youngins out there that don't know what Y2K is, look it up. That was an interesting time in civilization and nonsensical hyperbole and
but just getting back to the Signal thing, we've had this app that's been out there for years, since 2014. I think Signal first came out, and they've just recently updated their encryption protocols for post quantum computing. And iMessage, the messaging app that comes built in with Apple, that everyone uses. I mean, a lot of people with an iPhone use this messaging app. And they're adopting an open source encryption protocol to make sure that their messages are secure.
Yeah. It's basically like the same way when Apple decided we're going to use a Unix base kernel because
or Microsoft or Microsoft for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. So it all harkens back to one of my core beliefs when 10 years ago, we would say to each other, what is it going to mean? What is it going to look like when open source wins? And we all had these outlandishly wild.
It's the year of open source,
right. Everything would be free.
Right. But no, all it means is companies take slices of open source under their control, just tight enough to where they can control their slice and contribute back only what they have to, and promise things are more secure, things are safer, things are whatever. And for a year or two there, right? But then we just like found out that there's been a flaw in Apple phones that have been able to be remote takeovers for like 6 years. And it turns out from the looks of it, Apple knew the code was there.
Of course it did.
It's a question of it could have been the actual people making the chips who put this original backdoor in, this undocumented feature into the chips, but it very easily could have been Apple doing it as well. Because Apple is in the United States, Apple has to do whatever the United States government says, and if the United States government says we need a backdoor into your device now, guess what? The next version of that operating system that comes out is going to have that in it while Josh sinks into Middle Earth.
You'll be coming up to the top of the screen soon.
Yeah. Roll over. So, yeah, I mean, and again, this harkens back to conversations we had on this show easily in episode like 10. If you really want a secure, trusted device, don't get a smart device. Just like if you want to have a trusted TV, don't get a smart TV. While Josh is silent and doesn't realize it. The idea of dumb phones are actually making a surprisingly recovery, because we have a whole bunch of 70 to 80 years old that don't want a smartphone. They want to go back to the idea of a flip phone.
Well, you've also got a whole bunch of teenage kids coming through who are just getting mercilessly bullied and harassed through their smartphones, and their parents don't want that to happen, so they give them a dumb phone. I'm very tempted to do that with my daughter as well.
It can't hurt, man. Wait till they're 18 before they're completely consumed. It's amazing. I mean, I don't want to sound. I don't know. I mean, I use my phone and stuff. I've been putting on airplane mode and trying to just not use it so much. But it's crazy. Even old people, like my parents, that generation, and that they get it and they're addicted to it. Crazy time.
Well, I remember once I was at home, I was doing some stuff at home, and I was moving from room to room, and I just saw myself picking up my phone every time I moved from one place to another to take my phone with me. And I think that was a really, really a good test. It's a good test for you. If you are going to the toilet and you take your phone with you, or if you're going to the kitchen,
it
you
has
take your phone
poop
with
on
you. Yeah. I mean, why? And I thought, wow, this is stupid. This is absolutely silly. Well, why am I taking my phone with me? It's just an automatic reaction to pick it up and stick it in your pocket and take it with you. Yeah. Yeah. And I thought,
I said to both my kids, I said, do me a favor. When you go into the bathroom, don't take your phone. And they were like, why? I said, because maybe you won't spend an hour in the bathroom, because really, it's really unhealthy to be sitting there for an hour. It's a proven thing. When you're sitting on a toilet for an hour, it's unhealthy. So why not take the phone in? The side benefit is you get less debris on it, less fecal matter and transfer from the air to it. But also, I heard another recent scientific study that made me mad. The old scientific study is you flush the toilet 5 feet away. There's toothbrushes. There's fecal matter on the toothbrushes. Closing the lid definitively does nothing, they said, because
Really?
there's still enough gap around the toilet that when you flush it, it spreads just as much. So everyone who has a towel behind their toilet, you be wiping your face with fecal matter, bro. Get rid of that towel rack, put it someplace else. And the one scientific study said the two things you can do: one, bleach in the back, or literally daily scrub does a lot, like drops it down by like 90%. But if you can't do anything, at least every 2 to 3 days, you should change the towel in your bathroom. Otherwise, it builds up. It gets.
Welcome to the Exploring Bathroom Hygiene podcast.
Well,
I thought that was the tip of the day.
No comment.
Don't wipe your face with poopy towels. There.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and here's the thing.
TLDR.
And here's the thing. I'm sitting there telling my kids, because my kids, I love them, dense as rocks. Look, brown towel is for the waist and down. Makes sense. Brown, waist and down. The other color towel is for your waist to your chin. And this towel over here is for your face. And that's all it does is face stuff. Because I
Is
don't
that
want
the
to.
one behind the toilet?
And it turns out to be the one behind the toilet. Because I told my kids, look, I don't want to wipe my face with your butt. You got it? Oh, they don't.
I don't remember. I didn't watch many Friends episodes, but the one thing that sticks out in my head the most from that is they're talking about the bathroom or something, and he's like, "Yeah, but you use the same soap that I do." He's like, "Yeah, but soap is self-cleaning. Yeah, well, think about the last place I wash and the first place you wash."
Oh. Yeah, I would just say, how about them Cowboys?
Your idea.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. We could have Taylor Swift showing up on our show.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, Signal. I know that you and Eric use Signal, and there I tried to keep up, but I just got left in the dust, and I can't. It's too much. But the only
we're prolific Signal users. Yeah.
when they drop the support for SMS, is that threw me off, because that would just be my SMS. Right. And just that I would just stay in Signal for everything that I was doing.
Exactly.
And now it's like you have to, sometimes if I don't open it for a couple of days, it just it doesn't show notifications either.
Right.
And that's what would happen when I was using Signal as my main messaging app, is that other people that put Signal on their phone but didn't use it, it would go to their Signal instead of.
Oh, okay.
They wouldn't get it, but then you could switch it, but then it would switch back anyway.
Right.
They've now switched to. Sorry.
Yeah.
So Signal just announced a release. They've upgraded to they've dropped the phone number, so you can have usernames now.
They did do it. Good.
Yep. Oh, wow. Yeah. So I think that was in the last update, and I haven't tried it yet, but I'll be giving that a go.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the one thing about Signal usage is whenever I had somebody and they would ask about it, I would say, look, you have to be all in. You literally have to change everything. So this is now your default application. Remove the icon from your home screen and put this one there, or else. Because once you start using the old one again, it seems like it prioritizes whatever you use last.
Okay. Well, my daughter's gone down to the South Island to University of Canterbury for she started her first year at university this couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a big time.
Studying mechanical engineering. But I told her to install Signal on her phone, and we've been video chatting on that and sending each other pictures, because SMS is expensive.
Yeah.
You know, I'll get charged every text. I don't want to do it.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, like I think it's only when you. No. Well, I have unlimited text, but they charge me per multimedia message. Right. So if I send a photo, it was like last month's. Yeah, my last month's bill was $40 for multimedia messages.
Really?
For that,
how much? Yeah. How much is your bill a month? What's your?
I pay. I pay for my daughters as well. It's part of the one plan, and that's $130 a month.
Okay.
For mine and hers.
Yeah, we're paying more than that. 180 for two people.
Yeah,
a month.
Wow.
Oh yeah, Canada is the most expensive country in the world.
Yeah, Canada is. They used to charge for both sending and receiving text, didn't you?
Oh yeah, and it's still kind of difficult to get a U.S. Canada texting plan.
Right.
Right. I came up here and I'm like, oh yeah, I can just text it. Nope, you get charged for that. But in the States, I don't think there is even I don't think you can get one that's not U.S. Canada. Just part of it.
I don't know a single plan in the U.S. where you have to pay anything for any kind of text messages at all. You could literally send, hours worth of videos or pictures, and your bill will never change. But I will say we pay, I want to say last time I looked at it, for 5 phones, 5, maybe, no, 6. For 6 phones, we're paying less than $280 a month for like
That's pretty good.
unlimited and air quote everything. But of course, once you go above on my phone 20 gigs, it becomes incredibly slow and annoying.
Yeah, quote unquote unlimited.
Yeah. So what I did message T-Mobile. I said, look, it'd be great if you would, instead of giving each one 20 gigs, you would give us all 20 gigs. And then if one person's using 2 gigs a month, I can have their data.
Mm-hmm.
Because considering I'm paying the bill, I would really appreciate that.
Well, we have rollover data as well. So you can, if you don't use all your data one month, it rolls over to the next.
Right.
And you get free text messages, but pictures are no go. I try.
And is that all plans, or are you just cheap? You spend all your
it's
money
pretty much
on
well. We only
subscription.
have 3 providers in this country, and they're kind of corner the market.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same way as it here. It is here, and one of them just bought one of the other ones, so take away even another one.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy because it was Rogers, which is one of the major players in Canada.
Yeah, I heard of them. Yeah.
And then they bought Shaw, so that's who our internet was with, Shaw, and now apparently it's Rogers. So don't really get a choice on that either.
Right.
And then and that's another thing with the open source and what we're talking about. Like, a company can just be acquired by another one. Here you go. And if that's the only one, I mean, I don't know how many. I don't think we can even get ground internet out here except for that one. I mean, we're kind of lucky to have it as is. So I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any fiber optics laid down our road for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go for Elon's Starlink. I think. The only thing that's stopping me doing that is $600 installation fee, the equipment fee. But apart from that, it's data's much faster and the same price as what I'm paying with my current internet provider. So
yeah,
how much you pay for internet?
140 a month, about the same as I pay for
140. Wow.
Yeah, and for that I get
for garbage internet
1.5 terabyte data, and at 20 meg down, 25 meg down, and 5 meg up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How about you, Dor? What's the United States internet bills look like?
I have no idea. She pays the bills. I just know I get gig up, gig down, which is 750 megs up and down. I want to say the last time she mentioned it was $80 a month.
We found the first world, Ivor.
Well, my internet is wireless broadband, so it's not delivered via cable.
Yeah.
It would be cheaper if I went to cable, but it'd be a lot slower.
If you want the real,
do you have line of sight?
Yes, line of sight.
Nice.
Microwave. Yeah.
Yes, if you want the real first world of internet, you need to go to either Japan or Europe, because the countries are so small there. It was easy for them to lay down all the infrastructure, where you have plenty of countries over there where they get gig plus speeds for less than US $50 a month.
Wow.
Because they're so small countries, it's easier for them to just, lay fiber optic cable from end to end. We're here in the US, it's huge.
Yeah, we're quite a small country, but we have these geographic features that get in the way of everything. So we've got these enormous mountains, volcanoes, swamps, lakes, everything.
Right.
So, it's a bit geographically we're a bit challenged sometimes for that sort of stuff. I know because when I worked on the mobile phone network installation project, that was a huge problem with a lot of places. They're putting in brand new bloody network stuff, but it was only getting an incremental improvement in data speeds and connectivity.
Right.
So it's all down to geography. Anyway, Who's got an app?
I might have to get going here shortly.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Well, I'll say I will give one app then very quickly. This app I found to be lots of fun, even though it's a stupid, in air quote, game. It's literally called Retro or Roto Force. I'm sorry, Roto Force. That's what it's called. And basically, it's like the entire screen rotates around the game board, and you are in basically what is like a bullet hell shooter kind of thing. Yeah, completely free, 4.7 rating, 100,000 plus installs. It's a editor's choice, E for everyone. No data is shared with third parties. This app may collect device and other IDs. Data is encrypted in transit. Updated September 26, 2023. So it hasn't had an update in a little while. And to be frank, it's the kind of app I don't think it really needs an update. It's just one of those stupid, mindless games where you just shoot, bang, bang. The only difference is it's a 2D rotational like screen.
That actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah, to me, it's the kind of, you don't need to learn anything. There's no special skills required. You just hit go and move left and right.
Wow.
So do you have any games, Ivor, or any apps, Ivor?
Well, I wanted to do a quick demo of Shizuku. I know I talked about this a little while ago, but I wanted to kind of share my screen with you guys and show you how to actually activate it. It's very quick and very simple, and it might kind of overcome the stigma that a lot of people have with kind of activating a wireless ADB. But we can
A lot
leave
of
it till next
stigma.
time.
A lot of stigma about the wireless ADB for sure. I bet there's at least 3 people that know what that is.
Well, should we try it?
Sure, yeah. Don't you know?
Sure, yeah. Oh,
Congratulations to CJ in the chat too. He passed his ham technician exam.
And I believe they just had a talk at a college they gave.
And he knows what ADSB is. Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't know.
Yeah, I'll say I know what Android device bridge is, but ADSB? Don't know.
I'm having trouble sharing my screen
Super
here. So.
bridge. Oh,
okay.
Hey, it's me and me and me and you and you and you.
Yeah, okay. So this is Shizuku here. And when you open it up, you get a step-by-step guide. So you just need to basically pair it with your wireless ADB. So you go into your developer options. You have to activate your developer options. Everybody should know how to do that, or has already done that. And you go down to wireless debugging, turn that on. Very important you turn it on wireless debugging first. Then you go into click on that, and you click on, you can either pair with a QR code or device with a pairing code. So I use pair device with a pairing code. And then it gives you a code. You enter the code, 2995, into that. And it says you're successful. So I can now start my Shizuku service. Go back, start, runs a little script, and closes automatically. And now I can use apps that access the Shizuku program. And that's all you need to do.
So can you give me an example of an app that uses that service? I can't remember.
Yep. So Canta, Canta, that helps you. Well, basically allows you to uninstall any bloatware or any app you like. And then there's App Ops, which is actually built into functionality that's already built into Android, and it will allow you like very granular control over permissions. So for every single app, including the system ones. So you can screw things up on your system apps if you try playing around with them. Well, you should know what you're doing. I think most of our listeners do, but give it a go. been going through and I've uninstalled a whole bunch of stuff that I don't need, and it's changed the way my phone works.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you want to give an app?
I was going to say that does look like something that you could really brick your phone with.
Mm-hmm. Been there, done that.
Oh no, you just need to restart it because it's not a permanent thing like rooting. You have to, every time you restart your phone, you have to go through that Shizuku wireless ADB connection. But once that's done, it doesn't take very long, and then you get everything that comes with it.
So it's running a virtual machine in there basically, and
yeah, like in between the kernel, the root system and the interface. Yeah, it sort of talks to
like a service that you can use.
Well, that's how many are there? A lot of containerized apps. Is that are they all containerized? Is that how it works?
Well, how do you mean? What do you mean containerized? Sorry.
Well, like Docker or there's ways that you can put apps in containers and then be able to run them with
isolated.
So they all have their own dependencies and they're all
they're
all isolated from all of the rest, and then you can manipulate them from another program and kind of build your system up that way.
You probably could actually. I haven't tried it.
Yep. There's a lot of root things these days that don't hold on to permaroot. And what they offer is services that you can then add extensions onto or use apps that access that service to do root type things. There's very rarely now these days like one app that you get installed that can do all the different things. It's typically a layer you have to install, and then you install another app to access that layer.
Yeah. So an example would be if you've got a calculator app that wants access to your contacts, you can activate Shizuku, go through into the permissions for the calculator app, and actually very granularly control what it can and can't do.
Can you make it 1 + 1 is 3?
No.
Oh, sorry, that's public education.
Yes, it's public education.
Yeah, Dor, I could do a rundown. I think that's what you're going to ask. I don't know if I got all of them, and they might not be in order of appearance, but this isn't Hollywood. So the first one is Plex Amp. Oddly enough, the second one is Plex Amp as well. Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, Loop Habit Tracker, RotoForce, QK, SMS, and then a lot of other witty banter about other things. But I'll go first here too, if we're gonna do our goodbyes, and I just want to thank you, Dor, because I know that I haven't been. I mean, I've listened to probably just about every Android App Addict episode from when you and Steve were doing it, and through the different hosts, and from sitting in the tub, usually drinking whiskey and listening, watching the live show with you, Mark, and Eric, and then you put out a call if anybody wanted to be on the show, and I'm pretty sure that Ivor and I were the only ones that put our hands up, so kind of by default we ended up on here. And then, I mean, that was I kind of had an idea that Mark was not going to be able to continue at that point. And so, yeah, I mean, it's 600 is a pretty big number for a podcast, and you've been around for all of them, and we're kind of just riding your coattails. Ivor more than me, but nonetheless. And so, yeah, man, big congratulations to you. I know that you don't probably care about this kind of stuff, but it is a nice opportunity to recognize an OG in the podcasting space, even if he takes 4 months to put out an episode now. But and yeah, hit him up if you want to talk to him, because he will talk to anybody, and that's just proven by him talking to Ivor and us every once in a while. So yeah, man. And thanks to everybody that is contributing now and that has contributed emails, voicemails. That'd be fun. Still have a voicemail account? Yeah. Do that one. 1866 Podnutz.
7076 Podnut.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I don't know how I still remember it.
It's ingrained, man. And to wherever Steve is, thanks for starting this whole Podnutz adventure. And that, yeah, man, you need to do an episode. You should do an episode of DDG if you have time, just about that period in Podnutz where kind of Steve handed over the reins to you, which is kind of an interesting time.
A very busy time is the way I'll put it. Very active time. Do you have any parting words there, Ivor?
No. Just it's been great to get back together again, and I've really enjoyed it. And 600 episodes, fantastic. Let's do another 600.
Yeah, and again, I never want to pod fade. I never want to disappear. I at least try to keep a trickle of podcasting going on to remind myself. Because to be quite honest, when I'm sitting here talking with you guys and I'm seeing, Swift and Chuck and everyone in the chat, I'm not depressed. I'm not bored. And I'm not, sitting here thinking, anything bad or whatever. I'm just having a blast talking to people who are fun to hang out with. I can't believe we made it to this 600 on this one. But the truth is, I'm going to be even more shocked because I don't see me ever stopping this. I have 2 years and 8 months left till I can retire from my 9-to-5. And when I do that, I plan on trying my best to make this the actual full-time job of learning, exploring, sharing, BSing, laughing, making fun and of people and other things. And just, telling people that, they're crazy if they're asking that.
Does that mean that you can finally start that Time Splitter podcast that
I don't know. I literally watched a video like not too long ago on a Time Splitter and Time Splitter 2, and I had no idea how deep both those games were.
So good.
And the amount of time, if you want to actually like 100% them, you better like set aside a couple of weeks.
And play 4 people at the same time.
Well, and that's the thing with RetroArch now, especially with PS1 games, you can literally do remote play, or no, they call it play together in RetroArch, where you can pick a 2-player game. I give you my IP address. We make sure we're running the same emulator and the same ROM version, and we can literally do multiplayer over the internet.
Let's do some Time Splitters.
Which is nuts, is what I'll say. I want to thank everyone for downloading. Thank everyone for their support throughout the years. Scott, thank you for the email. Good man. And thank you guys for remembering that we had an email, because I'm not going to lie. I completely I want to thank Red, Chuck, Swift, everyone, Chloe, everyone for coming out to the podcast. Without you guys, I mean, we would just literally just be sitting here talking to ourselves, and we wouldn't really know what's funny except each other.
Josh is hilarious, though.
He tries his best. Staying up till 4 a.m., I'm sure, makes him a little bit loopy and funnier. We're going to try to do our best to only deliver more episodes, more quality episodes, and reminding people about data and privacy issues that are on these devices, which I still don't hear really anybody talking about except for nerds like Steve Gibson. I don't know.
And if there's anything that you want us to talk about, or that, that you want us to talk about.
Not anything.
Well, I mean, you can ask, right?
Yeah, you can try.
I don't know. I figure if we get enough money, maybe Dora will do a episode with his shirt off.
That would be very unappealing for everyone involved. Ivor's
not afraid.
I would rather wear my I'm a little door key shirt between me and you. with that, I want to thank everyone again for downloading, subscribing, participating, having fun. Join us on Discord. Join us on Voxer. Those are the two places where we are most active. Amethyst seems like it's still gaining momentum, at least a little bit. Hopefully
Yeah,
it keeps going.
Noster, for anybody that's not familiar, check out Amethyst.
Very cool. And with that, we hope again to talk to everyone real soon.
Cheerio.
Toodaloo.
I was watching, I can't remember what it was. It was on CMT, Country Music Television. I can't remember what it was. Where it was right after Jeff Foxworthy bought it. And it was some like family. It was some like trailer park family. And I just remember the one person put X-Lax in a cake for like their mom or whatever. And the next scene they showed like a kid like 14 years old, supposed to be like 14 years old, but obviously it was like a 30-year-old with chocolate all over his face. And he says, I gotta go to the bathroom real hard. And for some reason that line stuck with me. So
yeah, what is that show? That was another ripoff of a pretty good English
well,
show.
I mean, so many of the American shows are just ripoffs of the English stuff. Yeah.
And it turns out it's all garbage. Huh, who would have known?
Turns out that's why I'm watching stuff like Star Trek Continues and Penn and Teller BS and shows like that, shows that have been off the air for 15 years.
Oh, have you seen the new series of Frasier?
I have not.
It's terrible.
Okay.
I watched the first episode. It had its moments, but it was just really bad. It was like everything bad about the 90s sitcoms.
Like, what do you mean? You're kind of in my wheelhouse here, so tread lightly.
Well,
don't be saying anything about Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I watched Frasier a year ago, I think, and it's a lot of it's still held up, but they put a new series out, and it's just nonsense.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Okay, I got to quality 8.
All right, stop talking about him.
Okay,
He's almost here.
There we go. Okay.
so I got 2 hours and 8 minutes.
You'll have that.
You wiping
We're
that?
just talking about the new series of Frasier. You seen that, Door?
No, I haven't called it.
Don't. It's not worth it.
Huh, that bad.
Yeah, I watched one episode.
So bad Ivor won't watch it. What is it? I'm not even sure what that means.
Yeah, see, like everything that comes out now, I don't care. I wait for it basically to have its last episode or at least like 5 seasons in before I pay it any attention. And if it's a movie, I literally wait months because so many times movies, in my opinion, are extremely overrated.
It's because they're all garbage.
Most of them, I think, are complete garbage.
Most of them are complete garbage.
Yeah.
I would say that damn near all of them are complete garbage.
Yeah. My wife, she watched the new
Take my wife, please.
Yeah. She watched the new Aquaman movie. Okay.
Ugh.
New Aquaman movie had Aquaman basically kind of has a sidekick, and the bad guy is like based upon a manatee. She said it was literally like I was sitting there watching a SpongeBob episode, and it was Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and their number one enemy was always manatee. She said I couldn't get that out of my head. The movie sucked because I couldn't get that image out of my head.
Maybe you just got to go with it.
Yeah.
It's that
And I said-
psilocybin thing again, Door.
Right.
Like, you just got to go along for the ride.
Well, and I thought to myself, it wouldn't shock me if Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man had a better storyline.
Is that the one?
I'd pay to watch that.
Mo-
I'd watch
Mo-
Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man.
Mhm.
Sounds like a weird porno, but I'd watch it.
Well,
Because actually, not in spite of. Yeah, this is taking a bit long as well.
Wow.
Like the noise reduction. Maybe my
Yeah.
RAM is shit in the bed here.
well, there's the first thing to go in my experience with RAM seems to be ECC correction, which means the RAM's still running as fast as it normally does, but instead of having to do something like 2 or 3 times, it has to do something 20 times
Yeah.
in order to get the right value back.
Huh.
Yeah, mine's taking a little bit of time.
I need to run mem test because I think it's actually 216 gig RAM sticks.
Right. Okay.
So I wonder if one of those is toast. Maybe I guess I can just take it out and probably run. I mean, it feels like, I don't know. We got my wife that the MacBook,
Mhm.
and it drives me even more crazy than using Windows when I try to use the Mac OS or whatever it is.
I believe.
Oh, it's horrible, but it's fast.
Mhm.
Like it's really fast, and I think it only has 8 gigs of RAM, but and I mean I haven't used it the same way that I used this one, but I can tell by the processes that it's using that it definitely is faster. There's something more efficient about it.
Well, and I had my best results when I had 2 sticks or multiple sticks of RAM in a box. Take them all out but one when I run the mem test.
Oh, you just ran it on one at a time?
One at
Is
a
that what
time.
you're saying? Yeah, that's a good idea. I should just take one out and see what happens. Because this is the time that I really need to mess with my equipment. I love doing upgrades, man. I'm like addicted to upgrades. Like, oh, Linux Mint. Oh, look at that. There's 75 new updates. What could go wrong? I'm just going to download these now in the middle of a project.
Right.
It happened to me while I was setting up for this podcast. Actually, the new kernel update came down for Linux Mint. I thought, oh, we're going to have to restart.
It's always the kernel.
I had all my windows all set up and everything. Oh, geez.
Well, once you get down in the terminal as well, like you'll install something, and then at the end it'll say, oh, you've got, you can free up this much space by auto removing these files. And then
what could possibly go wrong?
Do it. Yeah. What could go wrong? And then you look at it like, oh, the last 6 kernel files from the last updates. And then I've actually had that where I did that, and then something happened and I couldn't fall back, and that just locked it up too. But yeah, man, get in there.
When you
break some stuff.
That's when you insert a USB key, you copy the home folder off, and you nuke and pave.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
I mean, time, but that's the
Time.
thing. Like, you don't need a Windows, the little Windows key. I mean, that's and Ivor, you can go anywhere you want now. Like try Linux Mint, but then go explore other ones as well.
Yeah. Well,
it is free.
My old one, when I used to have Linux on that as well, and I was getting into the terminal and trying different desktops. What I want to do when I upgrade this computer is get a touchscreen and get a Linux system that's going to be compatible with a touchscreen. So see how that goes.
Yeah. I did have 2 links in my group. One of them was to Blend OS, and the other one was to Bliss OS.
Oh, yeah.
Bliss OS is an Android-based desktop. Blend OS says you can download and install APKs natively, in air quote, on the desktop. I didn't get a chance to mess with either of them, but I wanted to. Because I still do think when done right, you can do like 90% of what you normally need to do in air quote, on a Android desktop.
Well, I guess I don't know the difference between the Android kernel and the Linux kernel, because when it comes down to it, aren't they using the same kernel, or did they fork the kernel to make Android?
Yes and no. They originally forked it to make Android. Then they got back into the main line.
Right. They went, this sucks.
Right. But now, because Google is supporting their device for 7 years, the Linux kernel is like, no, that's too long. So they have to basically back out of their mainline stance.
Or give the developers cash. You know, like if you want to, you're paying us for support basically at that point.
Literally, yes. And that's why they're like, we're not doing it, you know. Yeah. So now I believe for advanced features, in air quote, for stuff, they want to do that. Let me click this real quick. See this. DoorToDoorGeek. Oh man, my brain. I'll tell you what, you know what's randomly hurt a lot in the last 2 months is my eyeball. That's not good. Eyeballs shouldn't hurt.
Unless
hay fever.
That's
probably hay fever.
I do think it's something to do with hay fever.
Middle of winter, man.
But back when I was like 15 years old,
I don't care. It's hay fever.
Yeah. Back when I was a kid, in air quote, I blacked out. I fell into a pile of sand and scratched my cornea.
Ooh.
So every now and then, like once a year for like weeks, it just hurts like hell.
I did that in high school. A buddy of mine went camping in the snow, left on a Friday after school, and went up to this alpine lake and took a bottle of Bacardi 151. Maybe something else as well.
Yeah.
And it was not
something green leafy vegetable.
Well, yeah. The next day we packed up in the morning. I couldn't see. My contacts had gone behind my eyes, and I couldn't. And there must have been a rock in there. And
oh my goodness!
So I couldn't see going down, and then I realized that one of my boot laces had melted off in the fire. So now I'm hiking. It was like 2.5 miles of this alpine trail. And one of the boots that I'm wearing doesn't have a lace. My eye, I ended up with a patch for about 2 weeks over my eye because of this experience. And then, of course, we were trying to get out at night as well without flashlights. So it was pretty sweet. Oh no, that was a different trip because this was in the morning that we went down.
That's an adventure. Lake
22, man, Mountain Loop Highway, Washington State. It gets Sandra's cousin, who's I think he's 19, was here with us last summer or 2 summers ago for a while, and I took him up this place where I go hunting, and it's up a logging road, and you don't have to walk too far off the logging road. But I just looked at him. I said, you know what? This is real. Like this, you're from Holland. You're not far from the road, but you can fall to your death quite easily.
Literally,
so just pay attention. Take it for granted though, we just go outside and you're in it, get up in the mountains and everything else.
Trees,
yeah. And I don't know what's it like over, is it pretty hilly where you are, Ivor?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of hills and mountains, obviously. So, a lot of it's pine forest though.
Yeah.
So you really have to kind of go and hunt for native bush. my whole property is pretty much native bush as well. So there's only a small bit, which is we've got our fruit trees at the top, and then we've got basically a whole native bush section down with a river running through it, creek. I mean, yeah, it's very nice. We're quite lucky.
Yeah, I've been going pretty full on with for the last couple of weeks I haven't been able to do anything, but with permaculture and just learning about soil and kind of companion gardening, building resilient systems that mimic nature but with plants of your choosing. Right.
Well, this guy I'm building the shed with, he's obsessed with compost. Absolutely obsessed with compost.
Yeah,
he could do a PhD in it. He's into his compost. He builds enormous compost sheds. And he advises people on their compost.
No, it's a big deal, man.
Big deal.
This is one of the biggest problems with, like, people complain about the population getting out of control and not being able to feed people, and it's just nonsense. Like it's because of these huge monocrops, and this is where compost comes in, because the soil is just dead in so many places.
You keep planting the same thing, it literally wears out the soil.
Well, it does, but then they're also tilling it, right? You go through and you turn it up, and then what you're looking for is underneath the surface, right? I mean, it's nice to have that top layer, but you're building the fungus and stuff down, and the bacteria underneath the soil. And then you bring it up and just kill it all, and then start over, and then you need all of your fertilizers again.
Expose all that fungus and everything to UV light. It's just going to kill it.
Yeah, so I'm big into compost too. If that's, I guess that's what I'm trying to admit this to you, Ivor. And also worms. Totally I've got two. I built my own worm farm. Like, I bought a worm hotel, which is a big bag. Blah blah blah. You put the worms in, and then, but there's too many worms, so I needed another place to put them. So I found this. I mutated a couple different designs, and it's using three totes, like 54-liter totes with pretty heavy duty plastic. I mean, whatever, they say heavy duty on them. Heavy duty doesn't mean the same thing as it used to, but yeah. And then you drill holes in the tops and the sides, or the bottoms and the sides, and then you can use 3 of those and create your own worm bin. I could do it in like 20 minutes now, and it's great. Solomon helped me.
One of my podcasts, I got the trivia question of the week wrong. It was like, name these 3 things. 2 are real, 1 is fake. One of them was, since the Ice Age itself and the moving of glaciers wiped out every native Canadian worm species that existed. Now every worm that's in Canada had to be brought there. I said, nah, that's BS. And I was like, oh, and I was wrong. Supposedly the Ice Age and glacier, like digging into the soil, killed all of the worms, because most of the like something like 90% of the worms stay within like 3 feet of the top of the soil. They don't go deeper than that. I was wow. Okay.
I remember hearing once when the British came over to New Zealand and started settling here, they brought some worms with them because they knew the value of the worms back then. But their worms went and killed all of the native worms. They were so successful here. They basically starved out the native worms.
Typical British.
Yeah, right.
Typical bloody colonists. We decolonize our soil.
That's why there's mongoose in Hawaii and cane toads in Australia.
Literally. Yep. Yeah. Australia, the toads, the rabbits, or there was another animal. But there's like, goats. You can take your choice, man. Yeah. Ooh.
It's open season too, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, then here in the US, chestnut trees. We brought in so many other trees from so many other countries that introduced a fungus that basically now it's impossible to grow a native chestnut tree because it will die before it grows old enough to give out chestnuts.
Was it Dutch elm or something, was it?
That sounds right.
Dutch elm disease, yeah.
Friggin' Dutch.
Yeah, no one likes a Dutch.
I know Africa doesn't.
But you know what, Dor? That's soil as well, probably. Like if the
Mhm.
problem with having bad soil, one of the main problems is that plants are so much more um, affected by insects
Mhm.
and by diseases and things like that. And so if you have healthy soil and the plants are getting the nutrients, so you get the pH high enough or
Right.
low enough. I can't remember what in the plants, and then it's not tasty to a
Right.
worm or whatever else is eating it.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to soil in the end.
Yeah. It's almost like the human microbiome in the gut. The dirt is the microbiome that feeds whatever, everything in there, whether it
Yeah.
be fungus that travel, tens of miles, or simple plant life.
Well, the cool thing about fungus as well is that it has its own mycelium network underneath the surface. And now you have the roots of the plants coming in, and the fungus actually attaches to the roots of the
Well,
plants and brings the nutrients from further
because
away.
because there's a partnership.
Yeah, it's symbiotic
Right.
relationship, but
Right.
that's
Exactly.
so you're extending your roots even further out. And so, I mean, this for most plants that are fungal dominant soil, as far as plants
Right.
that are edible for most of the plants that you want to eat, it's mostly fungus. And then you get the bacterial driven plants, which are like the grasses and thistle and this
Right.
stuff that
Thistle.
most of the time you don't want. And then if
Thistle
you
whip.
can upgrade your soil, those plants don't even want to grow there anymore.
Right.
Because I got a massive problem with thistles in my paddock at the moment.
Yeah,
Everywhere.
I mean, I would love to help you, man. If you are interested, $75,000, I'm yours. No, but no,
cheap.
if you
Is
want
that
to,
all?
Ivor,
Give me two of you.
I will help you.
Yeah, awesome.
As much as I can, but I'm more than keen to, like, I'll look at a Google map or Google Earth of your property and then go from there. I would love to do that, man. If you're interested in.
Yeah, because my wife works for an agricultural research organization, and so she's got guys with PhDs there who study.
Yeah, well,
thistles
that's the problem. That's the problem.
But she's saying that she's asking some of these guys about what can you do about thistles in a paddock, and they're saying, well, basically nothing. You've got to dig them out by the roots.
No, you can't though, man. They're thistles. Like, that doesn't
exactly.
work.
Yeah,
I've tried.
It doesn't work.
Can't
They
do
all
that
come
with
back.
stinging
Yeah.
nettle either.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But it's interesting because everything wants to be forest, right? Like that's the way that nature goes. If you don't, if you didn't do anything,
forest.
well, but tall grass is just an entry point for the forest. I mean, the only places you're going to find tall grass are prairies and savannas, probably.
Ding.
But but then if you didn't mow your lawn, what's it do? It grows and then it ends up being a forest. And so with manicured lawns and things like that, you the whole time you're fighting the secession that nature wants to do by throwing out these thistles and things like that, which are pioneer species. And what they're doing is actually rebuilding that soil, right? They have the roots, they're putting roots in the ground, and some of them are nitrogen fixers, and they're pulling nitrogen from the air and then depositing it down into the soil. And then what they do is they fix the soil, and now the other species come in, your small bushes and things like that. And then they eventually choke out that, and they provide shelter for other smaller species or like pioneer species of trees. Here it's alder. The alder will grow up first, and then they provide the shadows or the shade for the fir trees and the pine trees and these other, when you get a mature forest, the trees that are, the trees that are in there, they come in last, and now you've got a forest, and it's like a bulldozer. You can just watch it. If you look at the edge of any field that has forest, and you could just watch it going in, and you're constantly fighting it if you want to keep So the idea is to build systems which utilize that natural succession.
The cycle, yeah.
Yeah, but expediting the process and
Right.
planting what you want.
Right.
Right. So you're mimicking that mature
Like
forest.
pushing it towards what you want.
Well, not pushing it, but planting it even. Like I've got one of the spots in our property is what I'm planning on is we have a walnut, an English walnut tree. And so I'm put that up there, and then maybe a pecan or something like that also. And then apple trees and cherry trees and some mulberries, and designing all of the plants I want in there to mimic the way that nature works in general. And so that's kind of what permaculture, I think, to me, that's what it means, is that mimicking,
right,
but putting your own,
In
creating
your
something that you don't have
little
to deal with anymore, right?
hyper local space geoengineering.
Yeah, and putting pieces together that are going to work well and help each other out, basically. And then throwing ground cover, right? That's another thing you're not going to see in nature.
Yeah.
If you go into a forest, there's no dirt.
Nope.
It's all all covered with whatever it is, moss,
leaf mold,
right?
Leaf mold. And so that's where
it's dark, damp, and cold.
It is, and but that's the thing. It's moist, right? It's stopping the evaporation, moist, and you're stopping the sun from drying it. Drying it up. And so that's where having a traditional veggie garden, it's the same thing, right? You're planting your carrots in this box or whatever it is, and now you're out there pulling weeds constantly because there is all this exposed dirt. And so if you can get that planted out, clover, whatever else, and just covering up all that soil, then you're not fighting it. You're working with it even for your annual crops. Did I lose you in there somewhere?
No. Yeah, you make perfect sense. It's really good. Cool. We're working on because I'm building a shed down in the garden below, and that's primarily so we can get some water down there to feed the garden. And so my wife has all these vegetable raised beds, but they're all dying. The soil's all dying, and she's noticed she got the plants last a lot longer if you mulch them with straw.
You got to mulch them. And cardboard, man. If all your Amazon boxes. Oh yeah. Well, this is the thing that we
don't have Amazon here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we do here. But yeah, because cardboard, what you're trying to do is get carbon back in the soil, right? That's what you talk about. Carbon. Oh, carbon's going to kill everybody. Blah blah blah. No, you need it.
You need carbon. Plants need carbon. Yeah.
Well, it's not even necessarily the plants directly, but that's what the fungus is living on, right? You ever put a piece of cardboard out and it's raining, and then you pick it up after a couple months or whatever, you can see the mycelium growing through there. So if you can put cardboard down first, not only are you suppressing maybe weeds you don't want, but then you put your mulch on top of that. Yeah. And now you're just adding that a little bit of extra carbon, and then biochar as well. I mean, you guys have trees. Look into biochar. You put that onto your soil. Apparently, if you add 1% of carbon to an acre of land, it can hold 20,000 gallons more water.
Damn.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's amazing, and I could be pulling that straight out of my ass, but it's something like that. It's an amazing stat.
It wouldn't shock you, because I do know the capacity for land to hold water is one of the most vital things.
It is. It's totally. It's the best way that you can store water. People get cisterns, or you have ponds and everything else, but the soil is actually the best place to be able to hold water.
Well, and it's the perfect place to measure, because, like, if you're in a drought-stricken area, it can't hold any water. Literally, it rains too much and the water just runs off.
Well, that's terrible soil, and that's what desert is, just the erosion of all minerals. There's a guy named, oh, sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off here, Dor.
You're right, because it is horrible soil for every kind of life, which means water just runs off of it.
Yeah, or runs straight through it. You just can't stop it. And so there's a guy who is one of the most famous permaculturists around. His name's Jeff Lawton, and he made a video called de-desertifying what is it called? Something like that. Foresterating the desert.
Right.
De-desertifying, something like that. And he went to Jordan, and which is the second driest place on earth.
Yep.
And has this incredible luscious garden without any without bringing any water in.
Wow.
Right. So and that's all soil and figuring out the way that water flows through your property. So if you're really dry there, you want to make sure that there's another guy who said, I can't remember who it was, but he said that water runs through your property, but what you're trying to do is get it to walk. And so if you can manipulate the water and get it to go as slow as you possibly can through your property, then now you're getting that much more absorption into the soil. So there's different ways to do that, but I don't know how big is your property, Ivor?
It's 1.75 hectares, just over 3.25 acres.
Okay. And is it quite sloped?
Yes, it's all on a hill, basically.
Yeah.
There's
so this
bit down below.
You can do swales, which are, it's basically you're building trenches on contour so that the water comes down, fills up this trench. You're planting on the bottom side and the top side. Right. And so it's something like 7 years after you put in a swale, it's saturated as far as it can go. So, every year it's just saturating the soil a little bit. I'm down here, a little bit further out and down from the swale. So if your swale is, it's basically a ditch here, and then the water absorption goes down at an angle. And after 7 years, you're completely saturated. And so to be able to direct water, and then, I mean, can you put a pond in?
Well, the issue with our property is
It's on rock.
We on top of it, and we have our own sewage processing system, so we're not connected to the main water supply.
Yeah, we're on a septic as well.
Yeah. So So basically, it goes out through drip lines into the paddock, and
that's the leach field, basically.
It's the leach field, yeah. So that's where it all goes. So we can't really plant anything that's woody or has deep roots in that paddock.
Why? They love poop, man.
Yeah, but they'll block up the system.
Oh, that's what, yeah.
And you won't be, and those the pipes need replacing, and
but that, I mean, how big is that though? That's probably not a. Hey, you can see behind it. You can see behind the curtain at doors, man. Never seen that.
What's behind the curtain door?
Yeah, man. I've always wanted to know, dude. Like, maybe it'll show.
It's got all his dead hookers stacked up there.
Right. Why do you have a stack of rolled up rugs?
Hey, but we should actually talk about this a bit further. Actually, I think
absolutely, man.
Because I'd love to get your ideas about what we can do about improving it. It's because I'm sort of physically limited, and Bronwyn works 8 hours a day and mentally limited. Yeah, exactly. I'm the first to admit that. So it makes it a bit difficult. So what we're trying to do is get an easy care section, and the easy, so just something that we don't have to we can manage without a lot of work. So we've cut down the mowing space. We've got sheep in the paddock. We've got trees, fruit trees. We've got
And do you have guilds built out around your fruit trees at all? Like what are they?
No. We just planted them a few months ago. So
that's probably the first thing. That's probably the first thing I would do is mulch, and then just look up fruit. What are they? Apples? What kind of cherries?
Apples, pears. We've got plums. We've got apricots.
plant them out, man. Get that whole, cover the ground all around them. Put in probably like lavender and clover and borage. I don't know how to say it. Borage. And comfrey. Get some comfrey, man. Find some comfrey.
Oh yeah, comfrey. Yeah.
You know, just find some and then just put it down. Like just plant it. Find a place that you want it because it's going to stay there, but you're going to want it. And your sheep.
Is that a nitrogen fixer? Is it?
Well, even more so. They actually. So they have a 9 to 10 foot or 9 to 11 foot taproot. So they're actually boring all the way down and then bringing up the minerals.
How far?
9 or 10 feet.
Damn.
Yeah, no, they're crazy. So they go down and they grow these huge leaves.
Yeah.
And so what you can
I'll
do.
send you some pictures. I'll send you some pictures of the property.
Do it. But I've made salve out of them, and people have been using it on their hands, and they just love it. It's so for that you can use it medicinally, but also those leaves, you can just hack the leaves off and mulch around the trees with those leaves.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so it just green mulch and just throw it down to cover up the bare dirt at this point. But yeah, if you can just get what a guild, I don't know, is basically just a conglomeration of different plants that serve a purpose and benefit each other. It's kind of, you're making that mature forest type of situation, but on a smaller scale, right? So if it's an apple tree guild, if it's a nut tree guild, then maybe you have apple trees in there or whatever type of fruit trees. And then those fruit trees will have a guild of their own, right? And so they will be the top because there's 7 different layers of fauna or flora, from the tall trees down to the ground covers and the herbs, stuff like that. And so what you're trying to do is mimic as many of those as possible in there. And so you have like your big, like I said, the big nut trees, and then you have your smaller fruit trees. Right. And now you're bringing it down to maybe gooseberries and Saskatoons and
raspberries and blueberries. Well, the thing about the cardboard, because we've got a separate area for the blueberries, we've got a couple of blueberry plants as well, and Bronwyn put down this cardboard, and as soon as she did that, they took off.
Oh, nice. Which is interesting because blueberries they like a more acidic soil as well. But I mean, I don't know how much of this is actually, because there's people that are growing them in with the rest of their plants in guilds. So, I mean, you can tell me all you want about how they need different soils. There's always like, oh, it needs a pH between this and this and this and this, and you can bust your ass doing that, or just plant it with some other things that are known to grow well with it and see what happens.
Yeah, right. Okay. Right, I better go and have my dinner. But great to see you guys. And Josh, I will be in contact. I'll send you some pictures. And
yeah, absolutely, man. And if it's a quick question, I'll answer it whenever. If you want to have a more in-depth talk, it'll probably be in the next month at some point.
Yeah, once you're out of your coding hell.
Oh man,
yeah,
it's crazy. So
crazy. Okay,
all right,
good luck.
Oh wait, hold on, Ivor, you got 1 minute? Hey, we want to see behind the curtain for episode 600. This should have been.
Actually... Oh yeah, come on, you got to do a reveal.
There's nothing there.
No, all your dead hookers.
No, there's nothing there. Nothing important. You ready?
Yep. Dun, dun,
dun. It's another curtain.
It's another bloody curtain.
Another curtain. Didn't see that coming, did you?
What movie is that? That's
behind a curtain is another curtain.
Yeah, what is that? No, you should know this. It's a Kiwi one by the dude that did Hunt for the Wilder People and Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah. Oh God.
But
that's not
that was Hunt for the Wilder People. I think that was Hunt for the Wilder People. Yeah, it was Hunt for the Wilder People.
That sounds right.
You haven't seen it? Oh,
no, I haven't seen it. I have to watch it. Yeah, I
Dude,
know.
Ivor, it is one of my top 5 movies of all time.
I should stop wasting my time watching Frasier.
You really
Huh.
should, because if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back.
Oh,
Okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah, and it's Kiwi, man. How can you not watch it?
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why I didn't really watch it. Have you seen
Oh,
Peter Jackson's first film?
Who?
I'm sure
Peter
I have.
Jackson. It was called Brain Dead. It's about these aliens who come to Earth and start eating people's brains.
Mm.
It's extremely gory. It's
Sounds
great.
like
Fantastic.
oh man, watch
But
out for the
very,
wild.
very amateur. Yeah, I will.
It's-
I will. Yeah.
It's right below the castle, man. It might even be above the castle, which is hard to admit, but I know
Okay.
Right.
it's.
Well, it's
it's
my birthday today, so I'll watch it tonight for my birthday.
Oh, nice, cool. We want a full report. Man.
A, happy birthday.
Yeah, no
Um,
kidding.
B, I got your file, Ivor. Josh, just send me a link when you're done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, guys, have a good one.
All right,
See
Ivor.
you
Thank
soon
very
again,
much.
hopefully.
Yeah,
Bye.
see you later.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm gonna get
Now,
ready.
you want to do a podcast on permaculture and stuff like that?
I literally wish
No.
A, I had the square footage to experiment with the things you're talking about, because I literally live on less than a quarter of an acre. It's so tiny. I could literally cut my lawn with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I mean, you'd be amazed at the things that people are doing in city lots. Like,
I know.
if you want to do it.
But I'm gonna tell you, less than an inch down, it's nothing but rocks on my property. And I know that because I saw that when they were doing the building of this lot. Everything like less than a quarter of an inch down in my lot is nothing but rocks. So it would take me a little bit of effort, let's just say, to get things healthy. Because nothing around me
absolutely.
is healthy.
Man, what the hell's going on here?
I don't know. I thought you had to go like an hour and a half ago.
I did.
The last thing I want to do is keep you away from your loving wife or your incredibly handsome son.
Now I can't even. Now I'm having network issues. I think I'm a little bit too rogue for coding, man.
Well,
I just throw stuff around and don't even care, and I think I'm just clogging up my own computer. You Yarn added that, but to your own operating system instead of the app that you're working on.
Yeah, I understand that, and I will say I did talk to the wife about my personal explorations, the way I'll put it, and I did tell her one time in the next year or year and a half, I want to take a trip up that way, is the way I put it. Seattle, BC, up there, because some of the best people I've ever met are up in that area.
Absolutely, man. Now I can't even get anything. Now I'm getting I can't believe that we're still talking here. We're having problems finding this site. I can't even.
I know.
Nothing is working on.
Yet your browser is still working.
Yeah, somehow we're still talking, but
Must
I can't.
be Russia. Putin's making it work.
Yeah, it's done. What I don't. Oh my God, can things just not work? All right, I'm gonna have to I'll get you that link.
You can get it to me when you're ready, because I'm already
we're
like
not-
3 episodes behind.
I know it's funny when one comes out and I listen to it. I'm like, Jesus, that I don't even remember
I know,
that.
man. I just hate editing on my main rig. It literally takes like an hour to edit something. Hopefully next month I'll get the new rig, the new thing set up, and it will take 10, 15 minutes.
It'll only take 2 weeks to get the back up and running. But you've converted everything on your computer to Docker, so you should be all right. Just export that stuff and call it good.
Yeah. Yeah, but I seriously think you just took like 3 months off my life saying that. Oh!
But I will extend to you the same offer, Door, of whatever help that I can give you. I'd be very
Dude.
interested in looking at no, but seriously, looking at a smaller lot as well to try to figure out how to, because you could, it doesn't even matter where it is, man. And the rocks, it must be, they put in crushed basically and just leveled everything with crushed
No.
rock, or
The rocks are like the size of my head.
yeah.
They're huge effing rocks.
And is there grass? Is there grass growing? Is that?
Well, they put grass feed over the entire property and sprayed it for like 6 months to where now most of the area has either grass, most of it is actually clover.
Yeah, good.
That took over my land.
Yeah, I would rather have clover than grass anyway. Clover's a nitrogen fixer as well. So, I mean, can you get some soil brought in? I mean, just get some, be able to get 4 inches of soil and get that to start, and then just build it.
Would be better off moving.
maybe.
Because so much of the soil is covering the propane tank in the back. Up front, most of the land is just useless except for the electronic box that sits out there that, helps other people. It's like the wife said she would prefer if we would just pave the entire property with concrete. Because the grass that's there is useless.
Yeah, well, grass in general is fairly useless unless you're using it to feed livestock.
Ding. Exactly.
But then with that, you also, if you do it right, then you can build your soil that way using livestock, and you send them and then rotational grazing where you don't let them just chew it all the way to one bite. Like you want, because apparently they'll go down and they'll bite off one and do that. And then if they're still in there, they'll go back and then start taking a second bite off all of the grass. So if you move them before that, then they're pooping and they're smashing it all into the ground. And so you're building your soil that way as well.
Yeah.
So get a goat, throw a goat back there.
Oh, a goat would fix a lot. I won't lie. Dude, it's late. I know you got to get to your family.
Yeah, I got to go. Man.
Hey, I got to ask you, how is the Sebastian swimming stuff going?
Solomon.
Damn it. Solomon.
Good, man. He went there. So since, are we still?
We don't have to be if you don't want to. Do you want it turned off?